The button has been clicked, and we appear to be live.
I have a little caffeine going. I've
Good.
also been pretty low energy recently. Oh, that's true. That's true. We just got our latest boosters. So I think it's our 57th booster now.
No, seriously, is that your second booster?
Yeah.
Interesting.
4th total shot.
Right. We haven't gotten any emails here about the system here in Canada will just automatically email you and it says like, hey, you're due for your shot, get online and schedule it and all that stuff, but we haven't gotten those yet for the second booster. My son only just now got we got an email for him to get his first booster, so we're lagging behind a little bit up here in Canada, but yeah.
At least it's all free. That sounds nice.
It is free.
Is there less existential dread in your life when you have socialized healthcare?
Yes. It's funny. My wife and I were literally just talking about that earlier.
Sounds good.
Tonight. Yeah, less existential dread. But why did that come up? We were reading some story. I don't remember what it was.
You're reading some Lovecraft to your children?
No, I saw some tweet or
Probably
some
not
news
do
story
that.
thing, and yeah, I saw something about that. Yeah, less existential dread from, just worrying that we might get sick or twist an ankle or something, and suddenly we're thousands of dollars in debt, and also less dread from, just worried about somebody's just gonna randomly pull out a gun and and shoot somebody. It could be a little. That was weighing on us in the Bay Area. I gotta be truthful.
I mean, with 2 kids in school, yeah, I don't doubt it.
Yeah, and I was very much like, this isn't a politics show, but yeah, I was very much like, I will be damned if I let my kids start attending active shooter drills. We grew up in the Midwest, and tornado drills were commonplace, but like that's different. That's like an act of the force of nature. There's nothing you can do about that. But just having some psycho come into your school and having your kids that's weird to me. That, like, people complain about like, oh, the masks are going to create some kind of emotional scarring, and it's like, how about teaching your kids how to prepare for some random psycho walking in and killing you all by the dozens? That seems pretty emotionally upsetting to me. Call me crazy, but whatever.
I do call you crazy.
I'm just a lib, some idiot lib, I guess.
Vincent's calling me out. I do have this really, like, look how blank my wall looks compared to yours. You've
Oh yeah.
almost filled it all up.
Yeah. Why is my chat not working in OBS? Let me close that window and try to bring it back up.
See, you've hung. I like the game pads on your wall.
Yeah.
I love game pads.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was all. So that's what I've been running in my using my filament printer for the last week or two, is getting all of these little widgets and things to So I've got, these are all the same thing. The 3DSs. Yeah, the last time we streamed, we had a lot of good talk about 3DSs and Vitas and just handheld systems and everything. So that's what. So we got that out. And we're fondling those things and holding them up to the camera and reminiscing about how cool that hardware was, and so I had it all out, and then I was like, you know what, I want to display some of this stuff. This stuff is cool. Why would I keep something as cool as the Vita, as cool as that hardware is? Why would I just have that stuffed in a drawer somewhere? That's a damn shame. And then I had I was losing all this desktop space over to my side here from just having a bunch of controllers laying all over my desk, because I've moved some of the older generation consoles have now found a home in here so that I can run stuff over my other monitor. And I had a bunch of controllers around, and so I was like, yeah, those could be those could be shown off too, you know. That I just thought it was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that red, I got a second one now. But look at how sexy that red PlayStation 5 controller is. Ooh, it's so good.
It's really good. Yeah, I get Armored Dracula vibes every time. It's great.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm gonna hit the record button in case we say something.
Recording in progress.
You may have heard that.
I did hear that.
Yeah, it's a creepy voice. Recording.
It's better than those friggin' automatic TikTok voices. Those things are really disturbing. Or whatever it is. Is that TikTok or is that Snapchat or what is that does the automatic?
That's just our lives now, John.
Yeah. They sound so weird, you know.
It's one of those things that I would have a hard time using as a creator, because I'd be like, you can't just use that. You know, there's all these faux pas you can make as a creator. It's like using Comic Sans, or like the default settings sometimes make people cringe. Like design, graphic design is my passion. Like you're afraid of getting mocked and stuff. But like there's something about TikTok that makes everyone immune to that. Like the default, just the laziest, scrappiest way is like almost preferred, it seems like.
Yeah, wasn't there a TikTok about that where it was a guy having conversations with himself, and he was like, well, I haven't done anything in here because you need to.
I love that.
He was lamenting like camera quality and lighting and like, you know, continuity and all that stuff, and the counter of himself was going like, no, you don't need that, and every shot was like showing off how like the most horrible representation of the thing that he was talking about that you need to get right. And it was like, yeah, that was accurate as hell. Like nobody gives a single shit about that stuff.
And okay, this is one of those parts of life that I haven't learned yet. Like I've heard that. I understand. I get, like, you know what I mean? Like if someone can explain to me, I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah. That production value doesn't matter. I get you. But I do not act on it.
Yeah.
I can't, like I have a line, I just can't. Like I don't know. I've been editing a lot of video recently. Like I spent all day Monday basically editing video for my Witchmore new game announcement.
Yeah,
look at that segue, which
we'll get to it in very shortly.
Yeah, and you know there are a lot of things I do when I'm editing. I don't use any transitions. I've noticed it's just something I don't care about, because like every cut is just solid. Like once in a blue moon there might be like a transition, and I've got some bookends, like a nice little like fade effect happens. The bulk of the video is just I don't care. I don't give a shit. I just chop it up. And I'm sure some, you know, really good video editors would watch my stuff and just see it being super amateur, and they'd be like, well, you know, whatever. But like I don't care in that context. But I would have a hard time using Comic Sans and using the default voice if I was like, I don't even know how to make TikTok videos. Like I see the videos, I see, you know the ones where there's like stuff in the background. You've got like a screenshot in the background and some real fuzzy like AI to like crappily crop you out. Yeah. I don't even know. I think you can make that on the app. It's on my list. My list is huge, but it's on my list of stuff to investigate. Is like, I don't know how do you make a TikTok? I should do that. I should turn my book here. I should turn this into some TikToks. I guess, right? That's the thing people do now.
Here, I'm gonna try to.
I should.
I'm gonna try to do. Yeah. I think this is a wipe. You should do one of these. Let me see if this works. Oh no, that didn't work at all. Never mind.
Good job.
Oh wait. There we go. It's one of the. It was super fast, but one of the corny like Star Wars the side wipes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, you said something there. What? The thing that gets me about TikToks are the TikToks where. I mean, apparently also like plagiarism is just not a thing on TikTok. Like no one gives a shit about that. There's the TikToks where it's like 20 seconds and somebody will stick their head in there and they'll just like point at the video and then they go brr, and they like go away, and then you're just watching someone else's content, but it's their content and it's like what? Like
the music rules are different there too. I haven't investigated this much, but I heard that TikTok has some special rule. Like if your account is just a personal account and you only use a certain snippet of something, you can use any music, which is
Yeah.
yeah, I might be wrong by this, but that is a rare thing in the music industry because normally samples are a big deal, and using music you don't have the permissions to use is a big deal. You can get fined for that. And the music industry is one of those industries that, you know, um, what's the word? They enforce that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
They're
if a
very
huge
stringent about it.
platform like TikTok was just like, yeah, whatever, use music illegally, that would not fly, right? So the fact that they are doing that, like I've seen, popular songs and little clips of, like I see TikTok. It's such a big force now. It works its way into Twitter. I see it almost every single day on Twitter, at least one little TikTok or something. And a lot of times I know it has like, commercial licensable music in there, but they have some either a loophole or some deal made where they, like if you're a big company, they'd probably be licensing the music, but it's just, someone named Steve or Rebecca.
Yeah.
Like they don't get charged for,
Yeah.
and they shouldn't, right? Like fair use and whatnot.
I mean, I guess not. Yeah. I guess TikTok just covers that legally somehow or something. Cause, yeah, YouTube would not let that fly at all. I mean, I love Lo-Fi Girl, which is why we run it in the background here. But like, it's a big reason that a lot of people use stuff like that is because it's because they put it up free for use. I couldn't sit here and run like an album from a record company because we would get. I think it would be fine on Twitch, but I think like YouTube would kill it. You'd get it stricken down. Not that we're doing anything or monetizing on YouTube, like we were saying before a stream. Like we're essentially streaming simultaneously to YouTube just to kind of archive these conversations. Less because we really.
I gotta set that up for my own stream. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, and as Vincent said, the stuff like that. Oh no song. Oh no. Like, yeah, TikTok has like trends where there's like a song that will just start showing up in everything I know about TikTok. I'm like you. Everything I know about TikTok, I know because of Twitter and Reddit. Like that's where I see TikToks. I think we talked about this once. I went to TikTok once and was like and tried to use it, and because there's not like a like or dislike button. You couldn't, in YouTube, when the suggested page, you could say like, I don't show me that shit, or hey, I like this one, or you can say don't ever show me that channel, and it will eventually learn, but based on you directly telling it what to do. TikTok, apparently, its whole algorithm is just based on what you interact with. So, like, everybody who's told me that they use TikTok say like they're like, oh, you have to like use it for a week before it starts to learn what you like. And I'm like,
that's like when someone tells you, oh, you got to watch that TV show. It doesn't get good till season 4. Or I love this one. They'll be like, you got to play Final Fantasy 8. I mean, it's terrible for the first 20 hours, but then it really gets good. And I'm like,
right.
I'm sorry.
Right. Or yeah, that's what I was hearing a lot about, like Death Stranding. I'm not a Jesus. Why am I blanking on his name? Kojima. I'm not a Kojima fan. Because he's just one of those guys. He's up his own ass. He's up his own ass way too far, and I can't take it. But yeah, people were telling me, they were like, oh, that game eventually, like, you have to play it for like 20 hours or something, and then it'll eventually click. It'll click with you, and then you'll love it. And I'm like, that just sounds like that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, we're too old for that. Nice. Good. Yeah, good to know about the Twitch VODs. I saw someone created a clip from my stream on what was that? That wasn't yesterday. Wow, that was yesterday. Yeah, the stream from yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, welcome Punchbot 9000. I loved Community. Although the wife and I kind of dropped off. It's kind of almost like Futurama, where I love the core of it, but then so much of it continues. I started to be like, did it come back again? Like I thought did I finish everything or did it keep going? So I think I'm behind, but love it.
Um, yeah. So Zach, Zach is using YouTube. Zach is our first like YouTube streamer. He's actually my buddy Zach, who I worked with at EA.
Nice.
Hey, hey, dude. Thanks for tuning in. You can't what? You can't use Twitch. Um, he says.
Oh, I should pull up the YouTube.
He says, I know it's not currently topical, but I've been waiting a few years now to know what John thought about the last season of Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones was huge. Like when I was at EA, Game of Thrones was in its prime, right? That was like prime.
Oh, and did you leave
Red
before
Wedding time and all that stuff? Yeah, well, it was seasons 7 and 8, I think, both happened since I came up here. I think when I left in 2016, it was only, Jesus, were we on season 6 Game of Thrones? I don't even remember. Anyway, yeah. God, did we talk about Game of Thrones last time? We've talked about it. I think we've talked about Game of Thrones in terms of like properties that don't stick the landing. You know, things like Battlestar Galactica, where at the end it kind of goes off the rails, and you're like, "What the hell happened?" Or movies like AI, where you're like, "This movie's brilliant," and then like within the last 10 minutes, you're like, "What are they doing?
Stop the pain."
What happened? I did not loathe Game of Thrones the way a lot of people did, but I did think by the last season, by season 8, it was just getting silly, and space and time stopped mattering, and everybody was basically just teleporting to wherever they needed to be in order to apply some, fan service to whatever was going on. And so it meant that and also everybody had really, really thick story armor. And so I didn't feel like there was any stakes, and so it lost it was toothless. By season 8, it was pretty toothless, and that was.
It felt like the reality, which was that the showrunners were thinking about their next show, which was supposed to be a Star Wars show for Netflix, and that fell through. So they were trying to jump to the next ship, and they just fell right in the water, is what happened. Like they flubbed the landing, really.
Yeah, and I know that some of that time-space stuff started to happen it was there for sure in 7, and I think even by the end of 6 there was a little bit of like they were kind of like, let me just get on a draft, or let me send a crow, and then the crow's there the next day, and you're like, didn't that crow just have to fly the entire continent? Like, what the there was a little bit of that. But
I wonder if any nerds have set up a simulation.
They should have,
right? I bet they have. That would be too hard to do.
They should have. There was several episodes in the first season that was just them traveling from just the king going to get Ned, and then them traveling there. And there was like all this, it was like this long maybe not several episodes, but it was clear that it was like, well, you gotta have a giant caravan of people, and schlepping from here to there is a big deal. And then by the end of the show, they're just like, woo, here we go. And like, oh, I look at this. I just built an entire fleet of, 3,000 ships or something, like between seasons, which was apparently like 2 weeks. And just, they stopped having any sense of progression of time and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
well, now you and your buddy have a brand new show to discuss. It's been so long. There's a new Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah. I actually was just watching the third. That's a little too fresh. I don't want to talk about spoilers. Hey Zach, welcome, welcome to Twitch.
Nice.
Yeah, it came out Sunday night.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. First, we've seen the first 3.
Yeah.
The boar.
Yeah, I left at the end of season 6 apparently. Yeah, we used to meet at my desk Monday morning and break the episodes down. And Zach, you had you had read the books, right? Because I think Zach was one of the guys who was kind of like there's somebody. Yeah. Okay. And I think you were like the fight between the Red Viper and the Mountain. I think you were like, I don't remember what you said, but you were like teasing us about that or something, and you were like,
you said the B word. It's book. Word of the day. Buy my book.
Yeah.
How to make a video game all by yourself out now, $14.99.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all. I'm done. That's all. Sorry.
Anyway, well, that's a good segue. This isn't the Game of Thrones podcast. This is supposed to
We
be
got
us
the
talking
first half
about.
hour of
Wait,
idle
well, you
chit chat and tangents out of the system.
well, you know what this is. Well, I don't think it's out of the system.
Yeah,
I'm
probably
sure we'll go
not.
back. But the what was it that you working the what is this? Is working the gunk out of the system?
Yeah,
Um,
the wastewater,
the wastewater. Getting the
empty
yeah,
the
you get
wastewater.
turn the hose on, get that nasty water out of there first, and yeah, or if you're an artist, you're like working the gunk out of your hand. You got to sit there and doodle for
Yeah.
15 minutes before you can actually start drawing for real, just to get your hand warmed up or whatever. So
You know what? I had a point I wanted to make real quick because I so rarely have art tips, but when I get them, when I get them, I want to share them. But you know that problem where you're real stiff and when you have a blank canvas and you have a hard time getting into art,
mm-hmm.
so we talk about sometimes.
Yep.
I found I'm immune to that with a real specific type of art requirement, which is like I need to make like a sprite for my game. If it's just like one sprite, and it's something that like is similar to something else in the game, right? Like a different kind of barrel or a table. Like I already have some other kinds of tables, or like creatures, other kinds of creatures, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason for that is because when I draw it, I've got my sprite sheet, and there's all these other graphics around it, all in the art style that I'm doing. And then I've got this one little square in like where I'm like, okay, it goes here, right? And when I'm in that context, I found I'm immune to the kind of stiffness with art and that wastewater where I have to kind of draw for maybe 30 minutes to get my garbage out before I can start to draw some nice smooth shapes and lines and stuff. I noticed that earlier. I sat down, I was like, we had maybe 40 minutes before we streamed, and I sat down, I was just sprite. I was just cranking them out. I hadn't drawn in a few days. And I was like, well, I just noticed that because, you know, if I sat down with a blank sheet of paper and some pencils, I don't think I would be able to do that. I think I'd be like, it would take me 30 to 60 minutes to okay, here's a cool looking dragon or something, you know, because of the context switch, and also because like if I just sat down with a blank sheet of paper and some pencils, I wouldn't necessarily have like a nice drawing next to it that kind of like, you know, you benefit from that that ambience almost of something that you're going for being nearby, to kind of like subconsciously copy or borrow from, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I just noticed that earlier. It's fresh in my mind.
Do you, when you do have a blank canvas, do you have any go-to doodles or something, or anything that you scribble to get yourself warmed up?
Yeah, I can show you one.
Yeah, let's see it.
One thing I like to do though is I don't necessarily restrict myself to like a specific shape. Excuse me. I'll just fill the whole page with garbage. I just circles, lines, and just work out. And usually I'll fill the whole page, and I might do that twice before I start to like, okay, here's a square, or here's a circle or something.
So you're literally getting the gunk out. Like you're just kind of like, I need to just basically get some graphite, smear it onto the page. Like
yeah, yeah, and to kind of like loosen it up, you know. And something I've noticed is I have to remind my arm to I have to like force myself to use my elbow and my shoulder, because when I first sit down, my context, you know, I think just going through school and stuff, my context is writing, which is much more from your wrist. You get a little bit of elbow in there, but like when I'm drawing, I have to like, you know, spend that wastewater time, that first 10 minutes or so, kind of getting that muscle memory back in place to draw from other parts of my arm.
Let me guess what your warm-up doodle is. Eyeballs. Or bats.
Yeah, those are included. Bats are surprisingly hard to draw. I think it's the wings.
Yeah. Bats and or things like wings, and you know what is really hard to draw? Like the bill of either a cap or like the bill of a cowboy hat. Like it's got weird dimensions to it, and like it changes from, you know, you can tilt the head just a little bit and suddenly it's all different and it's obscuring different things. And,
yeah. I should send you a this YouTube video. Really good one. Someone was talking about why those are hard to draw is because it, like, you know, the shape is warped. Like usually, you know, that's why it's kind of easy to draw like a cube, right? Because you know exactly which parts of it you're going to be able to see. You know, you can kind of figure it out. You usually see three sides, right? Like with a piece of paper that's like, you know, bent like this. Like that's a hard shape to draw from different angles. Like,
Yeah.
whoa, that starts to get really complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And likewise with, you know, like hands and hats. Yeah, like the bill of this hat kind of like it just works in unexpected ways. Kind of fools your brain. Like if you go around the contour, it's surprisingly hard to get that to look like I can usually get the shapes right, but it comes out looking and feeling labored, right? Because
Yeah.
with a simple nut, like a simple shape, like a sword, you just your arm just gets those lines in place. But with a hat, it's kind of more intricate and stuff. Anyway, I'm rambling, but you get the point.
I know what you mean. Were you gonna hold up a drawing or something? Show us your gunk.
I was
drawing?
gonna share.
Oh,
Oh, it's
do
on my
you-
computer.
Do you want me to switch over
good.
to? Actually, do we?
It's a good way to pull that up.
No, I don't know. No, because you would have to screen share through Zoom or so. I mean, you could do that real quick, but we weren't prepared to screen share. But we can if you want. I think if you screen share through Zoom.
Wait, you know what I can do?
I've got the scene set up for. I can pop over to it, but you'd need to.
You know what I can do?
What
I'm
can
gonna
you
do something really stupid.
Oh, are you gonna change your virtual camera to?
Wait. Can I just drop this into the scene?
I'm gonna take my headphones off for 1 second.
I totally can. Okay, wait, we try this. That's weird. Okay, that works. Bizarre. I wonder what that looks like on stream. Oh, it looks, you know, it's okay.
Okay, I'm back.
This is a weird way to do it. I don't know why I'm doing it this way. So right over my face, you can see I draw this like S shape, and then I put some eyes on it. It's just like one of my different S's that I draw as a warm up, and sometimes I use it as like a placeholder sprite.
That is very surreal.
And here's a wonky eye circle that's intentionally wonky to remind me to replace it. Oh, and I hate these. I have to draw new ones of those.
Do you
I just
do,
added this.
color when you're working your gunk out? You work in color?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Oh, so you're just showing like here. This is a demonstration. These are some like colored finished drawings, but these are the sorts of things that you draw.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then I guess I can just cut that. Can I just remove it? And then have a normal. Okay, that worked. Guess I can sort of share images pretty easily. That's fun.
I'm just trying to find
I haven't checked up on chat.
Yeah. So Punchbot asked if that was a if I had a super scope on my wall, and no, but I wish that's what it was. This is a PlayStation VR aim controller, which is a ridiculous peripheral for the PSVR. The PSVR came out on PlayStation 4, and it's based on the camera technology that was out with the PlayStation 3. So it was the little it was a PlayStation camera that sits on top of your TV, and it's literally just an optical camera. It doesn't have like any of the depth sensing stuff that a Kinect had, or it doesn't have like it's not doing any of the scanning that Inside Out stuff, VR stuff does now. It's literally doing. I don't think this is charged up, so even if I tried to turn it on, it wouldn't. It would be funny if this was charged up, because this right here, look at that. It's a squishy little like soft rubber ball.
It's a clown nose.
It is a clown nose. It's a clown nose, and it makes it. It looked like it lit up there, but it's not actually lit up. It lights up in this hilarious like light blue or pink or purple or something, and it so it tracks the original PlayStation VR tracks optically. It's a combination of using the little glowing ball to track where it is in space, and then the internal gyros to get the tilt. So it's a really, really kind of like convoluted solution. But that's what this is. I just think it's hilarious. Like it's just a funny peripheral, and it's got it's got like the stick and a D-pad here, bumpers and triggers, and then the other stick is here, along with the like triangle, square, and X and circle buttons on the back. The PlayStation button here. It's just such a bizarre peripheral that I don't ever use it. But I feel like I kind of want to keep it just because it's funny looking,
It looks homemade somehow.
Yeah.
Like it's made out of
PVC.
Yeah, PVC pipe. Although it's like, it's smoother and slicker, but like from here, yeah, it looks like homemade. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it were duct taped together.
Well, people do make these kind of things out of PVC. They'll take the VR and they'll 3D print them, and they'll either 3D print them or they'll kind of fashion them out of PVC pipe, and they'll have the controller. The controllers will actually be here and here, and they've got the tracking rings that stay exposed so that it does full tracking and stuff. And then they'll also put a shoulder stock on it. There's some people that are super into games like Onward or Pavlov, which are like military sim Counter-Strike kind of shooters and stuff, and so they get super into it, and they've got these things so that when you're in the game and you've got the representation of you're holding an M16 or whatever other kind of rifle, you can actually like boop, and stick it against your shoulder and like get super into it and go full role play.
Very cool.
Yeah, so
Love it.
anyway, that's what that is. Yeah, and my gunk drawings, my go-to is these little guys. I draw if you can see that. Guys like where is he? Guys like this. For some reason I draw guys who like, I like drawing guys who have like huge schnozzes and like no chin and like receding hairlines, and basically they're like ugly, like I don't know, weird like inbred looking, dudes. I don't know. That just became my thing for some reason, and it's just like that's how I warm up, is drawing lots of little weird heads or something. And
you call them ugly, I call them beautiful.
That's some shit I did for like.
Oh wait, go to that crustacean thingy.
Yeah, it's a Nautilus. This is
Yes.
Look at the date on this. This is 2015. I did this for. There was like 1 year where I tried to do Inktober, and Zach knows Chi, who was our art director at Visceral, was very encouraging. He was like, Hackett, you should do Inktober. And I just couldn't keep up every day. Like I found myself eventually just doing like really quick. At first I was super into it, but then I was like every day I was like, I can't find the time. So my scribbles got crappier and crappier, and finally I was like, screw it.
I know some artists will do a bunch of drawings with pencil ahead of time, and then they'll just ink them during Inktober. But there are prompts, and like some people, almost like a full-time job. I mean, it makes sense if you're an artist who's just trying to like grow your audience or something, just constantly, like every single day. That's a good opportunity to take advantage of that hashtag traffic and whatnot. I get it. I envy people who are that prolific. Ink wears me out. I really like doing it. I've got a ton of these 6x6 drawings I've done. I bought a bunch of 6x6 inch paper because I was working on my book, How to Make a Video Game All by Yourself, out now. But it's a 6x6 inch paper, so I just bought a bunch of paper just to kind of be inspirational, right? So I could like hold it in my hand and kind of get a feel, like do some sketches on it and get a feel for what the book was going to look like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I grab
it? I love working in. I think we've talked about this before. I love working in the crappy like Bic ballpoint pens. And the thing that I liked about about Inktober is that it's like there's no safety net. But like here's another one of my Inktober drawings of some like zombie.
You are not good at focusing the drawing. I just saw your knuckles.
Sorry.
Wait, well, maybe the stream is the stream seeing a different thing? Oh, it is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, to me, you were just like, here's my knuckles. And I'm like, great.
Oh, Zoom is set up to use a different camera, I bet. I probably screwed up the Zoom setup.
That's fine. Here's one of my ink drawings. It's like just a dungeon.
Very cool.
Drawing. For some reason, it's just what was in the brain at the time. Oh, I don't know why, but I like this one. I showed it to my wife, and she said she didn't like looking at it. But I think it's fun. I like looking at it.
You're talking about the one where it's an eyeball inside of a like a what is that, a flesh cube or something? What do you?
Yeah. I love that kind of artwork where it's just like, what was in your brain there? And you're like, I don't know. Something weird.
Yeah, yeah. Andrew does not like the flesh cube. It is a little disturbing.
Ah, flesh cube all day, man.
Hang on. I'm gonna remount my my aim controller.
You know what? You know what? Get this. I'm adding this to my notes right now. I'm gonna add a flesh cube to my game. It's gonna be like a gelatinous cube, but flesh. There, I added it to my list. There's only 400 things in that list, so you know that'll get done. Okay, that's too much.
Broke my own rule there in terms of like getting up and walking around during stream. I think it just showed everybody my ass. Sorry about that.
Yeah. You're welcome, internet.
Yeah.
No, Rose all day. That's Andrea. Flesh cube all day is me. So game dev.
So yeah,
topics.
here we are. We've been talking for like 35 minutes or something, and yeah, why don't we? So your big thing was you announced your game yesterday that you've been working on.
I did. I announced my game yesterday. It's called Which More. There's a 10-minute video on YouTube where I talk about it, and I worked hard on that video. So give it a watch or put it on the background if you don't have time. I get it. But yeah, it's a game about witchcraft. I'm making it all by myself. It's right in my wheelhouse of stuff that I like. It's gonna play. It's a 2D overhead game with simple hand-drawn graphics by me, but the gameplay is gonna be a little bit like Animal Crossing, but with roguelike elements and witchcraft. It's kind of my. I have a one-liner. Let's see if I have it memorized.
Better.
Which more lets you decide if you want to be a good witch harvesting mushrooms in the woods or an evil witch kidnapping children? I think it was invading villages to kidnap children or something. But anyway, it's kind of a mouthful. But I tried to boil it down to one sentence. And that's kind of it, is like, do you want to go through the game and be, a good witch, or do you want to be an evil witch? So it's got that kind of fable or good or evil vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
Super configurable game. You can have your own witch house and do whatever you want with it. You can look like whatever you want. You can be evil or, I said that, evil or good. And then, play the game how you want. It's going to take me a long time to make it.
Yeah.
But
Paragon versus Renegade, to go with a Mass Effect reference.
I never played those, but yeah, probably. Let me see if I can share an image. I bet I can. I'll do the same thing I did last time.
Just superimpose it over yourself. If you want to share your screen with me in Zoom, then I can switch over to. We can give you more screen real estate here. You don't have to keep sticking images.
Right, there we go. Yeah, look at that. It's good, right?
That is cool.
Beautiful. And then we kind of make that a little better. There you go.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's me now. Yeah, I'm proud of this art. I think it looks pretty good for the stuff that I do, and it gets the message across. You're like, hey, it's a witch, and she's got a baby and a knife. That's not good. Like, maybe it's fine. Maybe she's a good witch and she's protecting the baby, or maybe she's not. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm a little worried. That was what I was going for with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of stuff is like, even at these early stages where the game is kind of like in an alpha state, it's that, like, the logo I've got there with the witch and the knife and the baby, that's all in the game. You can go steal a baby and use it for dark magic purposes. You can go craft or steal a knife, and you can go be good or evil. So like that stuff's all in the image, and it's all in the game.
Mm-hmm. I like your palette that you have for that.
Thank you. Dawnbringer, baby. Yeah, I don't know. We could talk about the game, or we could like play some of it. I could do that, or we could go to the next topic, or I don't know, man.
I want to hear about your because yesterday. So you announced it yesterday, but then was it yesterday that you announced? What day is it? Is it Wednesday?
Yeah, just yesterday. and And I have a promotional development plan, and there's going to be a lot of announcements. Like this is just, oh hey, the game exists. It's literally it. Just so I have a page to send people to, and
Mm-hmm.
just to get newsletter subscribers and stuff. And then eventually I'll have like an itch page and a Steam page and
Yeah.
a demo and maybe a demo. That's something we should talk about in stream sometime. Maybe not yet, but whether I should have a demo or not. Also, whether the demo should be downloadable or web based, because I can do either.
Um,
So
I'm interested in the fact that you did game dev streaming yesterday for the first
I
time as
did.
well as part of the announcement,
Really fun.
right?
Yeah, we got a lot done. We added a Gamish to the game. Well, yeah. Why don't we play some of it? Why not? That's easy
Sure.
to do, right?
Yeah. So
What I can do is I can just create. I can turn the whole like. Let's just see what this does. Let me pull Unity up here.
why don't you
Like I
screen
can just
share?
do that.
Yeah, but then everybody's looking at my dumb face while instead of I've got a scene set up for focusing on you. Everybody's just going to need to give us a second because we'll have to do a screen share. If you screen share through Zoom, Matt, then I can then my scene setup will work because we've done this before when we were doing art streams before. I've got it set up so that it can show either one of our screens, so that's not a problem.
So
give us a second here, folks. Sorry.
Yeah, bear with us here. Make sure I got the right stuff on the right monitor. That's all fine. Yeah, I still have all my. I pretty much never close my dev tools, so that's all open and ready to go. Okay, go into Zoom, share screen, desktop 2, share. Is that working?
I don't know. I'm looking for a pop-up.
Yeah, I got the stream going.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to mess with your Zoom window a little bit here.
That's
just
fine.
gonna mess around with the stream. What? Come on, Zoom, help me out here. I didn't see any kind of pop-up saying, "Hey, Matt's sharing." You're sharing right now?
You are screen sharing, it says.
Where the hell did it go? I'm not seeing it anywhere. I didn't get anything. Most, conferencing apps will pop up a thing and go, "Hey, person you're talking to would like to share their screen with you."
Do you want me to restart it?
Yeah.
Riveting content.
Maybe. Yeah, this is compelling. Maybe try sharing again.
Stop. Share. Desktop to. You are screen sharing.
What is it doing? Why is it like all it's doing is it's changing the Zoom meeting? Why is it not showing me? Okay, I can screen share, but no, I don't want to do that. And now it's like, oh wait, here it is. God damn. Okay, this gets a little bit into Mac OS's window management. I think a little bit.
A little bit.
Being kind of a pain. All right, hang on a second. Let me do this. Sorry, I got to do a little bit of window management here. Get Matt scaled back up. Put this over here. No. OBS wants to share a different Zoom window. Sorry. Hang on. Where is this? That's clip via Zoom. But why is Zoom not showing me this? What is it showing me? App Zoom screen share. Oh God, it's way down here at the bottom. Sorry. This is super awkward as I sit here and futz around in OBS. Okay, no. Different window. No, not that one either, Zoom. No, not myself. What? Zoom doesn't label any of its windows, apparently. What is this? There we go.
Why would it do a silly thing like that?
Yeah. Okay. Here, I'm gonna use the cheesy Star Wars wipe again.
Love it.
You gotta make a sound effect when you do it. Okay, great.
Gotta.
So I believe everybody can see that then. Yeah, and that should be. I think the last time we did this too, we made that window as big as we could. So yeah, you're driving.
Okay.
Now.
All right, great.
Bunch of Mac using weirdos. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a problem. Like streaming is just harder on a Mac. It just is. It sucks.
Yeah, the audio stuff is a pain in the ass. Anyway, yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. So this is Witchmore. Let me show you the title. Got this show title button here. There it is. It's just this is how I start my games. Black screen with the title. It's maybe a little bit jazzed up, but a lot of times it's literally just text. Like it was literally text, like a text, game object before I added a sprite. But yeah, this is the game. I need to, I need to add like a little demo area or something exciting to show right away. But I guess I have this for now. This is my playground. I showed this yesterday on stream. But let's take a look. This area in the game has like everything you could ever want. There's like you can zoom out as I showed just now. You can zoom back in. This wand here generates one of everything you could possibly want that the game has right now. You can do stuff like create. You can turn on and off tiles. You can create trees. No, that's the same one. Where's the tree one? There's a tree one. I added this on stream yesterday. This is a blunderbuss. It's got 2 bullets.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Can I go kill a chicken? And just kill the chicken with my blunderbuss. That's pretty fun.
Well, the other thing that I think you made yesterday was the chicken wand, isn't it? Did that exist before yesterday?
Yeah, no, that was yesterday. Totally. Chicken wand. There's a crafting system. I just crafted a shovel. Here's the chicken wand. So I added this in stream. Let me zoom in a little bit. You can see it. I added this chicken wand yesterday on stream, and the chicken gets real mad at me. That's a little bit too zoomed in. Chickens don't really like witches right now.
Can you? Yeah, and you were breaking it, right? You were just like putting little chickens on the island and stuff, and watching them sort of sort themselves out.
Oh, I'm out of magic. I was pleased. It didn't really break that badly. Like I expected it to be much buggier. Right here, I'll show you. Yeah, I was just like, if I put a bunch of chickens right here, they just kind of like nothing crashes, and they don't like flip out. They just kind of like, it's not a great behavior, but I'm not mad at it. It's okay. I might have the water kill them or something at some point.
So you want to field a question?
Oh yeah,
about
totally.
this. Double question: what's the size of your core game loop that you start with, and what minimal mechanics do you add to test the fun of that initial loop?
Wow, that's an advanced question here. The size of the core loop is well, let me describe it. So basically it's like you go and craft stuff, and you go and collect resources, and then you bring them back to your witch house. You improve your witch house, and then your improved witch house gives you more facility to go get better resources, more resources. It's almost very like the Animal Crossing or Diablo style loop, where the tools you get make you better at going out into the world and going to get tools. That kind of self-fulfilling loop. For my game, it's really going to be all around. You really are going to want to get advanced ingredients. So there's a crafting system I showed you here, and this is where there's going to be a lot of depth, because there will be things like a very specific rare kind of mushroom that you want to get that only grows in a certain place at a certain time of the month at a certain time of the day, and you need certain items and stuff to get it. But if you have that mushroom, you can make a really rare potion, which you can use to like summon a demon, and that can spawn like a whole subquest and stuff. And a lot of the magic is going to revolve around the villagers as well. Like, here's an example: is if you want to enchant a broom, you need a human child to do that for you. And now this broom is enchanted and will hunt down dust for me. Stuff like that. That was kind of a rambly answer. But that is the core game loop is kind of go out into the world, get resources, come back, improve your witch house. Let me grab this guy and I'll show you some of the parts of the game. Like I'll show you my witch house. What was the second part of that question? What minimum mechanics do you add? So the inputs in this game are really, really simple, and I'm not expanding them from this hardly at all, probably. Like I might not change this at all, but it's like the things you can do in the game: move, run, pick up, put down, interact, and use the item that you're holding. And that's it. There's nothing else. Like down the road, I've maybe some kind of a hat interaction. Like I was thinking some kind of a button that makes a magic hat have an ability or something. But like I probably won't even add stuff like that. Very minimal input, and like it's on me to design stuff really complicated out of those simple inputs. You know what I mean?
Do you have an alt fire or the equivalent of an alt fire, or is it just when every item has one use?
Alt fire. What is that? Is that like up and B in Castlevania?
No. That would just be like a gun would have a secondary fire mode. Like basically you every wand, like the chicken wand, just creates chickens. That's it. Or does it have a create and then a destroy? Meaning, do you have two bindings for those two functions?
So, there aren't. Well, so here's a wand that what this wand can do is turn on and off tiles, right? So if you go out into the game world, you can come in here and kind of like, create space or remove it. So like that's kind of two different abilities. Creating tree, like that could be two wands. It could be one that just creates trees and one that just destroys trees, right? Something I do that I think is kind of interesting is the wands are triggered from the direction of the player. So you see how the wand is pointing left, right, down, up. So the game uses those triggers to change the behavior of the wand. So the wand has one input, just use, right? But like if I use it now, it spawns a burst actor. But if I use it pointing up, it cycles through the effects. So now it's a dazzle actor. If I go up again, now it's an explosion, right? And if I hit up, now it's something else.
Weird.
And a bunch of the wands work that way. What is this one? Oh, this is my resources wand. It spawns a bunch of resources. But yeah, I do. I like the idea of items having different abilities. The loot here plays music. The note is based on the facing direction you have. So you can kind of play almost a whole scale there that way. And so what I'm trying to do is get a lot of leverage out of the items using what's already there. So rather than having like, hold L and B and tap A rapidly or hold down A, I hate that kind of stuff. I hate it when you have to have a bunch of text on the screen explaining how to do stuff, and you got to have a special area with a bunch of design work just to teach you how to use a damn mechanic. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's great. I'm sure we all play games and love games that have that stuff in there. It's fine. We got to deal with that, right? But like, I'm not putting that in my game, right? The complication will come from the simple, you know what I mean? Like you plant one simple seed and the complication will come later, right? That's kind of one of my my pillars with this game.
Mm-hmm.
Another rambly answer. What was I going to show you?
We do that really well in this family.
Let's go to the village. That's another area that's pretty. Here we go. So it's not very fleshed out. It's it's kind of bare, right? But it kind of gets the main point across, which is like, here's a shared communal shed you can't get access to, and you want to because it's got good stuff in it. Here's a house of 3, where there's like a child that you could kidnap, and you could go. So this is interesting because it's a game based on witchcraft. What's that?
Were you so inclined to do so?
Were you so inclined? Yeah, exactly. It being a game about witchcraft, there are things in the game like a widow is an important element in the game, because I've been looking up researching witchcraft spells, right? And sometimes there will be like a spell that requires the coin of a widow. And so in my game, there's going to be a legitimate like quest or path where like you need to get that man in this house killed. You can either kill the man or you can, as a witch, create a situation where that man will die, which is, you can even do that right now. And then the woman becomes a widow, and then her coin gets a property on it, and then now you can use that coin in a recipe, right? So there's going to be a lot of complication in the game like that, but yeah, that's my goal, right? Is to have these simple pieces that get you to that complicated place. What else is there to see in the village? There's oh, that guy's got a gun, and she has a shovel. How did she get a shovel? Oh, I added this yesterday. Is if you walk through weeds or grass, they do nothing, but if you run through them, they destroy. That's fun. Little things like that. These flowers bloom based on the time of day. There's a well here that has some secrets that I won't spoil. But here's the key. And I can get access into here. Ooh, I get a gun. Yeah. I got a gun, baby. But yeah, I mean, the game is pretty bare right now, but what it has is a beginning where there's even like a tutorial here. I'll show you. Why not? I'll show the title and I will delete the player prefs. So now if I hit new game, it should, yeah, here's a tutorial. This is cool. If you, I'm using keyboard now, it changes the text. Hold shift to run. If I use the gamepad, it says hold R2 to run. I'm proud of that. That was a pain in the ass. Unity makes it pretty easy. But that's been a nightmare before. But yeah, it walks you through just all the mechanics of the game. And also, like, you know, that was not a lot, right? There's not a lot of things to teach players in order to play the game. But yeah, there's a beginning. There's a tutorial. You start off in the lake. You got your witch house. There's a village. There's a forest. There's stuff to explore. There's a bunch of stuff you have to do to unlock access to the ending. And then you get to the ending, and it has a little animation, and it rolls the credits and everything. So, like, you know, I could ship a game tomorrow that was just missing lots of stuff, but I won't. I will work on it for months and months and pack it full of goodness, you know.
Yeah.
But it's in a good state, which makes me really happy.
Is this, you mentioned Unity? Is this your first Unity game?
It'll be my first big Unity game, yeah. I made a 7-day roguelike game a few months ago, which this game is based on. The 7-day roguelike game I made is called Witchy. Here, I'll link to it. Why not? Door to itch. You know, John, if we keep doing this, eventually you're gonna make a game with me. It's just what happens when you hang out with me for long enough.
Well, I have, you know, I've asked you before about your interest in 3D. There, you know, you're gonna have to pick up some 3D if we work together. I think
that's all right. I can do that.
And you know, I think that you were saying that you didn't really like the visuals of the Octopath triangle strategy kind of thing, but that could be an interesting. There's also just like kind of a there's like the Paper Mario sort of thing too, where like the environment is 3D, but you're sort of moving sprites across it, like that. There's that kind of thing too. There could be some kind of a. We could compromise.
Yeah, I mean, also, like, what if you did a bunch of ballpoint drawings and I put those into a 2D game? You know what I mean?
Yeah, all right.
I'm just saying. John's way or the highway, 3D or bust. But I mean, I can work in 3D. I've done some 3D prototypes, and my main problem was that I have almost no 3D art abilities. Like literally everything I was making was made out of just the most basic shapes. Let me find some of those screenshots. Actually, they're kind of cute. They have some charm to them. If I can find them. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, that's a video. Well, here's this. But like, is that working? Yeah. I mean, you know,
yeah,
it's obviously some artifacts and some issues, and it needs a lot of loving. But like, if you know, we could make a game, and instead of my terrible circles and spheres and stuff, it could be cool looking stuff you made. Right? Whoops. You know. You know.
Yeah.
Someday.
We'll
what did I use before Unity is a good question. I used HTML5, so I would just make JavaScript games. That's what a Wizard Lizard is made in. That's the Probably my biggest game.
Mm.
You know what we could do sometimes? We could play Indie Game Sim. That was another HTML5 game I made. Oh, this could be fun. We could make levels for each other to play. I don't know if you know about this, but there's a subreddit for Indie Game Sim,
Is there?
and
cool.
people post levels you can play. And so, oh, good Lord, come on.
They link straight to, because it's HTML5, they can link straight to, and you just click it and it just plays it in the browser, right?
Yeah, I just plays in the browser. There was
That's
actually a
pretty
bug
sweet.
in this I fixed not that long ago. But yeah, we could make levels in the we could make levels in the browser, and we could send each other levels, and we could play them on the stream.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, Aaron made that one. Where am I? But yeah, this was an HTML5 game too, and this one's on Steam. Wizard Lizard's on Steam, and I was actually working on a game for a couple months not that long ago that was HTML5, just because it's like, it's like my default state. It's kind of easy for me. Just to, like, I sat down and started from scratch. I just started with a blank HTML document and just started like dumping out JavaScript, and I had a game engine in a few days.
That's cool. Yeah, the frame rate with this stuff in Zoom is not great. It looks very choppy. I mean, we could see what you're doing, and but when you were playing that level, it was very, very stuttery. It looked unplayable.
I see.
Yeah. The reason there was a lot of fumbling around in Zoom is because I don't use Zoom at work. We use a combination of Google Meets for just like basically heads talking to each other, but then if we ever have to do any screen sharing or gameplay sharing or anything like that, we use Discord. Discord's just way better for like actually getting the FPS across. So
yeah, that's because they need that because it's gaming centric, right? Yeah. Andrea was saying I need to iterate on the witch character, which I totally agree with. The witch sprite that I have here is very early. This is the exact same. I guess I could pull that up here. Oh wait, I have it here. There it is. So I even like the logo. I just took the witch and I wrote more, which felt very correct. I was like, I'm just adding more witches, more text. Yeah, the word more witches, more better Unity game. And like, this prototype was really rough. It was made in 7 days for 7-day roguelike, and you can see there's not even like auto tiling. It's very rough, but like there was tutorial stuff in there as well. But the witch character here, you can see she looks like that. And then if you come into Witchmore, hang on, I do not want to show the title. I want to go straight into the playground. So she's got green skin here, but it's the same sprites. All I've done is I created a doll, I call it. So like if I walk here, I can change her hat. Oh, I can change. I think I drew a monster sprite in there too. Yeah, you can change your skin color.
That's cool.
What is this thing?
Wait, so this is Witchy?
This is Cauldron, but it's using the same sprite as the prototype, the 7-day roguelike I made.
But you don't have any of the customization options in Witchmore yet. Right?
In Witchy, no, they were all. What is going on?
Wait, you said Cauldron.
Sorry, I did.
Is this Witchmore?
This is Witchmore.
Okay, all right. So you do have the customization in Witchmore.
Cauldron for months because it's Project Cauldron. I didn't know what I was going to call it yet. You're totally right about that. Yeah, this is Witchmore, where you can mess with your character sprite. What are you pouring?
Yeah, Matt hand draws all this stuff in Clip Studio.
Yeah, I'll do some art on stream as well. Actually, you know what I think I have is this.
That's a good question. What resolution are your sprite sheets?
Oh, they're huge. They're all 2048 by 2048.
Okay.
I just make them gigantic. I don't probably need them that big. I could probably cut them in half, size-wise. But I haven't run into any problems yet. So, but each sprite is 256 by 256, and that's the base sprite.
See
There
ya,
are bigger.
lol poop. Thanks
There
for
are
tuning
bigger
in.
ones. What's that?
Lol poop lolled. Is said good night. They have to head to bed. Good night.
I got
Thank you
it.
for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Oh, I gotta catch up.
It shouldn't mess with the memory of the build, right? I mean, like a 2048 is totally fine.
How do I make sure they look good on different resolutions? Yeah, my strategy so far is just to have them super high resolution. And then just I hope it won't be a problem. Like I could see a world where the web build is obnoxiously big, or a mobile build is too big, and I might try to compress the sprites or something. But like, let's take a look. How big are these? 644K. Like, I'm not worried about that. There are a bunch. They're like a meg each, though. Like, I am not worried about that. Like, your average MP3 is like 5 megs or something for like a song, and I'm gonna have dozens of songs. Like, I look at this, how much space the sprites are taking up, and I'm not worried. But maybe I should be. This will be my first like big Unity desktop game. What was I going to show you? What were we just talking about? I forgot.
Well, you showed some quick animation from clip there.
Oh yeah, I guess just showing how I draw the sprites myself. But yeah, I think tomorrow morning I'm probably going to stream, and I'm going to stream this stuff.
Yeah, so your
Pardon me.
your schedule is you're doing like Tuesdays and Thursdays. You're going to be streaming game dev stuff that you work on, right? And obviously for
I
the
think
next several
so.
months, that's going to be Witchmore.
Yeah, it'll be Witchmore for a long time. I need to experiment to see when the people who are interested will be around.
Yeah.
So I need to kind of hop around, I think, for a month maybe. But I do want to land eventually on some kind of schedule, just so people know where to come hang out. And it is looking like Thursday, Thursday mornings Pacific time. I don't know. That's looking like it might work out. Thinking tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. So I might be streaming again here in 12 hours.
Can't get enough.
Yeah, and I'll host from this channel. So if you follow this channel, you should see it pop up.
Cool.
But yeah, I think tomorrow I just did the graphics for the warp home wand and the portal wand. I might try that stuff. I'm gonna add an orb that tells you what you're holding. I might implement the headless chicken. So if you kill a chicken, it's gonna spawn a headless chicken that runs around and bleeds everywhere. I'm gonna add a leech, which helps you clean up blood. That's fun. And then a fish, which is just a cooking ingredient. An antlion, which is really just a obstacle. But yeah, that's kind of where the game is at now, is because I've already kind of made the beginning and the end. It really just needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of content.
Can I ask a question here? This is a stupid non-engineer question. What am I looking at right now? What is this that you're in? You're in a plain text editor.
This is what I'm doing. This is an app called VS Code.
Okay.
Visual Studio Code.
Yeah.
I have not been using this long. Before this, I used Atom, and before that, I don't even remember. I'm a Vim person. It was probably Mac Vim before this, but it's just a code editor, and it's got a file explorer here.
Yep.
But technically, VS Code is a whole IDE. You can debug inside of it. It's scriptable. It's themable. Like, this is an open source app. You can do anything with this. Like, one of the reasons I use this is because it has this thing called Vim mode. And Vim mode, you would hate Vim mode, John.
I would.
John.
Why is that? You don't
Because,
know what I want.
No,
from a text editor.
Okay, perhaps. So Vim mode, when you type things on your keyboard, text is not being written. They're all commands. So like, I'm in command mode. So I hit O, and instead of it typing O, I'm in command mode. O breaks a line. So there's like a whole other layer on top of it that makes all of this stuff for me easier, but for someone who doesn't know command mode, it makes it awful.
So command mode is like basically it sounds like so there's you can just input text directly from your keyboard as you would in any other program, but like command mode is almost like being a stenographer or something where like the keys actually have like a different functions or
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
that
totally. They have
sounds,
different
that
functions.
sounds
So like
bizarre.
here, like I'm in being in command mode, I can do things like that. I can change multiple lines. I can copy parts of words and paste them. I can do things like this and just create 10 lines, duplicate lines. There's
Wow.
like a whole bunch of stuff. Also jumping back and forth.
Yeah.
Like if I have a big file open, like I'll open my actor, it's a big file. I can easily go to the bottom, the top. I can jump around. I can mark an area in the code. Like here, I can go, and I can jump back to it anytime. I can jump between brackets. I can delete text between brackets. There's like all this stuff you can do where normally you'd be like, and you gotta, move your mouse around or just like manually like select. I've seen people use other text editors and have like they're very fast. It's nothing wrong with any tool. This is just the tool that I like.
Right. Now you've got so are you doing this via your MacBook keyboard or your new split keyboard? Have you
I
gotten
have a new
comfortable?
split keyboard because I'm a weirdo, and also it's more ergonomic. That's important.
Are you comfortable enough with that keyboard that what you're doing right now on the screen you're doing with that split keyboard?
Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
it took no time at all.
Good. Okay.
The hardest part about this keyboard was like the splitness wasn't a problem. It was the tackiness. Like you can probably hear how loud it is, and also my camera is shaking right now because it's so violent with the keys.
Yeah, we could pick it up slightly, but it's that your mic is isolating enough that it doesn't really matter. Yeah, Vincent
Oh,
says split keyboards and tower mice are great. Matt and I actually talked about
totally.
when he was telling me about the keyboard. I was showing him some like tower mice stuff, and I've tried to use those before, like the mice that are just kind of flipped on their side so that your hand is, because when you're doing this, you're actually rotating your forearms and your oh god, tibia, and what's the other one? You're not supposed to be doing this. Your hands are supposed to be in a neutral position like this, and so a tower mouse is supposed to be just better for you, more natural,
Yeah.
kind of just like this sort of pose. And
Yeah.
the ergo keyboards often have little kickstands on the inside so that they kind of tilt up a little bit too, so that you're kind of. Do yours do that?
Mine
Matt,
have
or-
that. Yeah, mine have that. Let's see if I can not destroy everything, but also do this. Hey, yeah. Here we go. Look at this. It lights up.
Mm-hmm.
It's got this thingy here, so you can like, yeah, and it sits on either side of my MacBook.
Is it is it one of those mechanical keyboards where you can
Yeah.
switch out all the you can change out
Yeah.
all the switches and the keys and everything?
I'm actually shocked it's been this long that I haven't had one of these. This is exactly
Yeah.
the kind of super nerd gear I should have. I bought new keys just to swap out the Windows ones and replace them with the Mac ones. But I also have a Windows machine under my computer, and I'll probably end up using this keyboard with my Windows machine. And I've seen some really cool looking keys you can replace, just like there's a Kirby one, and I'm sure there's some Zelda keys you can go buy. So I'm probably going to do that stuff eventually. It also lights up. They've got different programs you can run that change the lighting. It's cool. It's fun. It's a good keyboard.
Yeah, I see. I'm like the keyboard craze is beyond me. The sound of them drives me nuts. It's some kind of like a ADHD kind of tactical sensory thing where like I'm just like, oh my god, they're so freaking loud. I use just a simple like Logitech wireless thing that's got very, very like soft, low travel keys. It makes like no noise. My perfect keyboard is a little, like little Apple, very low travel, very, very silent, soothing, just kind of.
The MacBook keyboard is that way, and there are keys you can buy. That's one of the things I had to figure out. You can't just buy this keyboard. You have to choose what kind of keys you want. And so you got to go research. Yeah, see this MX brown, MX blue, MX red, there's a million different kinds. There's really like a handful, but if you go digging deep, there's over a dozen. Blue, brown, red, silver doesn't tell you jack shit, so you have to go look it up and I think it's the blue was really soft and would be the kind of key you would like. And I kind of went the middle route where it's tacky but not like so loud it would annoy the shit out of Andrea in the next
Yeah.
room.
Yeah, at a certain point it's like it sounds like somebody just like dragging a stick across like bars or something. Like, clack, 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 and it is
Yeah.
if you don't quit typing so loud, I'm gonna come murder you.
Yeah. Oh, I got my baby gore here. Let me grab my candle.
So
Voting candle.
here's a good question from chat. The are there any
Okay.
tools that you would actually caution developers against using for any particular reason? Now, by developers, Punchbot, do you? I don't know if we've talked about this before, but a lot of times, engineers will often be called developers. I've always Matt, when you're talking about when you say developer, do you mean somebody who's in the engineering track or the or programmer track, or does
The problem is that to be inclusive, everybody's a game dev.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we have to use more discrete terms these days, which is fine. You know, like 'cause I think that the overall gaming community has adopted dev, right? That's
Yeah.
what I saw at my last gaming company I was working at. Was they, you know, the gamers would, you know, pour into a room and you'd be in there and you'd have a little tag and they'd be like, hey, are you a dev? That kind of a thing, right? And so game dev needs to include everybody, community managers and marketing directors and programmers and designers and artists and everything. And that's totally cool.
yeah,
But the problem is that I think more old school people like us, game dev used to be the programmer, but now we would just say programmer, I think. Engineer, I don't know what the hell engineer means anymore, right? Because there's too many, and it never meant anything anyway. Like when I remember I was like, my business card says software developer. And then I went to Yahoo and they're like, now you're a front end engineer. And I'm like, okay, I don't care. Call me whatever you want. Just pay me, right? And then I heard in the UK, engineer is more like a doctorate where you get a certificate and it means a specific thing. Just like in America, you wouldn't go around saying you're a doctor. I think in certain parts of the world, you wouldn't go around saying you're an engineer without proper paperwork. Anyway, long story short, I think programmer, if you're talking about someone who's, you know, either writing code or putting visual scripting together, in my opinion.
Oh, Vincent, so you mean engineer? You getting is a protected term, meaning like software engineers can't use it, because because it's actually used in non kind of like software and gaming. You can be a mechanical engineer. You can be like, is that what you mean? Like it's protected because like if you're gonna say if you have engineer, you have to have certification in something that shows that you're truly an engineer.
Yeah, that's what I heard too, Vincent.
That's interesting. Yeah, see, I feel like the developer equals programmer thing must have come from web, because I never ran across that. For me, it was always like from day one, it was like programmers. Well, you're a programmer. And then engineers started getting picked up, but engineer and programmer have always kind of meant the same thing, and that's all I've ever used. When developer to me is just kind of like, yeah, everybody who's on the dev team, meaning the people who are actually like, you know, sort of like the in editor people, or the people who are like actually contributing to the software directly, is kind of where places I've been have drawn a line. There's a certain point where you kind of get out of dev, and that would be when you get into like testing, or when you get into marketing or things like that. You're sort of outside the dev circle. But again, varies from place to place, and I'm not trying to be, you know, non-inclusive there. We're just talking about terminology changes from studio to studio.
Yeah. Good question about if there's any tools I would caution someone against using. Almost, huh?
No, I just said yeah. That was the question that brought up the whole like, what do you mean by developer thing?
That's okay. Yeah. No, it takes us like 20 minutes to get to the question. We're like Kevin Smith in that way. You asked him a
Well,
question. It
we,
takes him like 3 hours of backstory to answer it.
I don't know. I don't think we were being overly pedantic there. I think we were trying to dig down to like,
Oh,
well,
good.
what specifically do you mean? Are you looking for just programmer tools, or are you looking for any tools?
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Did that was it to everybody or was it
yes, I think Punchbot said that like basically any tool, anybody who wants to develop, not necessarily just an engineer.
I see. Yeah. So to me it's like I used to kind of frown upon almost anything that wasn't like relatively low level written by hand, yada yada yada. And these days I don't frown upon any tool. Um a tool would have to like harm me in some way to get me to begin to not recommend it or something, you know. I would have like, you know, I would have to have direct experience with something to be like, don't use that, or you know, some really strong word of mouth from a friend who just had a horror story or something. But you know, any tool you can think of that has the notoriety to where anyone's actually heard of it and people are using it, they're all probably fine. Seriously, they're all totally fine. Like pick one. If it's, you know, if it has 1,000 stars on GitHub, it's usually pretty good. You know, unless it's abandoned some years ago or something. Like there's just a ton of great game dev tools out there, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
What's I gonna do here? I noticed I had a placeholder wand, so I'm gonna fix that real quick. I'm doing some live game dev just to I noticed there was a bug. Where is it? Here it is. My debris wand is labeled wand A, so I will change that to wands. I'll find my debris wand. There it is. Now it's debris wand, and then I go into my zone, and I find my debris wand. Wait, is that it right there? That's it. I go to wands. I go to actors. Grab debris wand, and then I test it. Did I do it? There it is. Yay, and it's throwing bones. It's doing what it's supposed to. I fixed it.
Nice job.
Just does. Yeah. So let's see, where are we at? We're at the halfway point with our stream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, roughly.
Let me commit this.
Do we need a quick AFK?
Do you need one?
Not necessarily, but if we're gonna do a topic change, then yeah, may as well. Just
Okay.
just a couple
Yeah.
minutes.
Let me commit this. Oh, I also added. So here's what I'm gonna add tomorrow on the stream is these two sprites I've added. Is this is a portal wand and this is the home wand. The home wand will send you home, and the portal wand is gonna break the game in lots of different ways. But I'm gonna see if I can get it to work to where you can. It's gonna be easy to warp you between two spots, like a portal wand, like from the game Portal. I think where I'm gonna have difficulty is warping between maps, but I might try to figure that out on stream to see how it goes.
So,
This is like new.
sorry, I think you said this already, but do you denote the placeholder by leaving the semi-transparent chicken behind the wand until you're done,
I do.
and then you remove the chicken?
Oh no, that's just what the diff is showing me.
Oh, that's your diff view. Gotcha. Okay.
So if I go, yeah, here. See, I don't know why it does that. I don't like that it does that. Actually, I don't see a way to just view the new sprite. I used to use Kaleidoscope. Oh, okay, here you can see it. If you go to 2 up.
Gotcha. Okay.
Although
I didn't know what I was seeing. I didn't know if that was just some kind of workflow thing that you did. But no, if that's just diff, that answers my question.
I do leave these chicken sprites in place. I could remove them before I ship or something, but knowing me, I will end up replacing every single one of these with an item.
Yeah.
Because I will pack this game as much full of content as I can.
Yep.
New wand sprites, debris wand sprite. Boom. All right. You want to take a quick break and then jump to the next topic?
Yeah, super quick. Just just a couple minutes.
All right, great. Well, we'll be right back then.
All right. Oh God, what am I doing there? All right, we're back. Hello, hello. Okay. So, according to my notes, I think it's worth bringing up. Like, so, I don't, I don't really have I'm not interested in maintaining a Twitter presence per se, or being a personality on Twitter or anything. So I don't necessarily want to get involved when it comes to conversations about trending game dev topics or anything like that. But I did think it might be interesting to talk a little bit about just like how much what our experiences have been, what our different experiences have been in the past at companies we've worked at with crunch. Based on, there was that trending tweet from my old boss, Glenn Schofield, who I have nothing but nice things to say about Glenn. Glenn is a character, and Glenn has his own thing. But he is he did a lot of good for my career. Like he was the first. I joined his team when I joined EA, and for the most part, I was on teams of his throughout my whole tenure there. And Glenn's got a lot of passion and stuff. But yeah, when I saw that tweet, and I saw Jason Schreier repost that screen grab of his tweet, I was like, ugh, ooh, that's not good.
For some context, one had kind of tweeted like a flex about, yeah, we work 12, 15 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week during COVID. Yeah, you do it because you love it. No one makes you. That was kind of the that tweet's been deleted, but the image was captured and permanent now, and it was going around making the rounds. That's kind of like 90% of my game dev Twitter that I saw last couple of days was mostly about that stuff.
Yeah. Which is good, because I think it's interesting that a tweet like that it's a good indicator to me that the industry has reached a point where a tweet like that is seen as, shouldn't have done that. It means that I think we're in like sort of I don't want to say we're in a we're clearly not in a post-normalized crunch world, because there are still places that crunch. But I liked it, at least in terms of public perception and, just general sort of like, workers' rights and mental health and people looking out for themselves and all that stuff, that a tweet like that was met with a lot of backlash. To me, I don't, obviously that was probably not a great day for Glenn, but it was I liked that the fact that it got a bunch of negative reaction, to me, is a good indicator, of like kind of where we've managed to get to, where there's still a lot of work to get done. And, there's still a big argument that could be made for unionization with the games industry and all that kind of thing. But, yeah. How much crunch have you done in your career? Like, have you ever slept under a desk or anything?
I'm a weird case study because I've never worked AAA. What I have experienced is just the startup culture. So just off the top of my head, CEO at one startup I was at would sleep during the day, sometimes just passed out in a dark office. You'd be like walking by, you'd be like, "Bah!" He would just be like, literally like he planked, but on his back. You'd be like, whoa! And he would have, like, he looked tired a lot, and like I was there at 4 a.m. sometimes just because the hours were bizarre. But yeah, so like the startup culture was less like, because I've experienced the AAA culture. What I understand is you're working on the game, everything's normal, and then the deadline starts to appear, and everyone's like, "Whoa, okay, we're crunching now." Everyone's working nonstop because this is a train that we're not ready for. Because, with games, it's much more common to be like, it launches, September 27th or whatever. Whereas a lot of times, like, Google Calendar doesn't do that. Didn't do that probably. You know what I mean? Like, anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't crunch at Yahoo, right? And when we launched products, we launched Yahoo widgets, we launched the what was that called? Application platform, the avatar thing. Yeah, we would just kick products out, and the product managers would be like, "Hey, we're doing it next week. Is that good?" And we're like, "No, we need more time." Okay, fine, and whatever. Like, you didn't care about the dates. You know what I mean? It was more like software as a service. You just putting some utility stuff out there. Like games are a different beast, and most of the paid work that I've done working for other companies has been more that, where it's like I happen to be working on games or game-based software, but it was like the startup culture where it was like, we're just obsessed with this company, we just work all the time, and like when the executives go on vacation, they're just emailing you, like it doesn't really change. Like, are you on vacation? And it's like they're still just slacking you.
Mm-hmm.
It was more that kind of culture.
Yeah.
But you probably have a way more interesting and more topical experience with crunch in this context, I'm imagining.
Well, I mean, I crunched at the very first job that I had like crazy. Like I
Is
actually,
that Alter Echo? Did you crunch on Alter Echo?
I did, yeah.
I'm gonna get it.
There it is right there. There's the box back there. Yeah, company called Outrage Games. Shout out to my Outrage homies.
Took me a minute. I should get this signed. Have you signed this? You haven't signed my copy, have
No,
you?
I haven't signed it. Come on.
You're gonna sign it. You're gonna sign it, and you're gonna like it.
Jesus. But I crunched there. We crunched there. Because I was young. It was my first job, and it was. Yeah, I mean, I think it was just seen as like, well, that's what you do. Like, you crunch. But yeah, I actually had, a couple times where I like didn't go home and I like slept on. I get a couple hours of sleep by like literally sleeping under my desk, and then when people would start to show back up at the office, I'd wake up and like resume work and stuff. And like, yeah, there were some bad times there in terms of the amount of crunch.
Wait, hang on. I know sleeping under your desk is like a thing people talk about, right? I want
Yeah.
a accurate mental, because like whenever I picture that, I think in my head I picture some kind of either like a cartoon infomercial world where you actually have like a pillow and a crappy little like a blanket and maybe a sleeping bag. Maybe there's an alarm clock
Right.
and stuff, kind of like Seinfeld.
No, it's not that well thought out. It's more like, okay, I'm gonna grab my coat or backpack or whatever and like use it as a quick kind of makeshift pillow and like just pull my jacket over me. Like
That's
if it
okay.
gets to the point where you're bringing like where you've got like, oh well, here's my knapsack with all my gear in it, then you've given up at that point. It was never quite that in terms of yeah. Well, I mean, so a lot of studios have will have sofas and futons and stuff like that around, and you think like, oh well, that's that's it's usually in the game room so that you can go in there and people can play games on their break, or so for like here's a review room where we're gonna look at daily builds or and stuff like that. But that's the exact same furniture that people then pass out on during crunch when they need to take a nap. So it's kind of like it's this sort of like nefarious double purpose of that stuff being there.
That's pretty funny. What a trope, John. You actually slept under your desk.
I did, yeah.
So funny.
But then let's see. So that was at that place, and the next place was a small startup in Santa Cruz. And I never slept under my. I never really crunched there. I don't think. No, that was a pretty good work-life balance there actually at that place. Plus, it was in Santa Cruz. It was like. I mean, there were definitely nights, I guess, where I was kind of biking home in the dark, but it was also that was probably just in the winter, and I think most people were kind of like, we live in Santa Cruz, I'm getting the hell out of here, like it's beautiful here and I'm leaving, goodbye. But then yeah, no, when I joined EA after that, and yeah, there was definitely crunch, although I don't know that I ever slept under my desk or stayed did literally pulled an all-nighter while I was at EA Redwood Shores, which is still there. That's EA HQ. That's still there. EA Redwood Shores is what we were called. We were called, and then that's also where Maxis was, and some other kind of divisions and different studios. And that's eventually the team that was working on the stuff we were working on eventually rebranded ourselves Visceral, but there was no actual creation of Visceral Games. Visceral Games was a rebranding of certain teams within Redwood Shores. But yeah, there was. I mean, my whole time there was a ton of crunch. There just was at EA Redwood Shores for sure. And there were nights where I was working on the Godfather, which was like an open world GTA kind of game based on the Godfather property. It was essentially like that game Mafia. It was just that. It was kind of like a 30s 40s whatever kind of like open world gangster game. And the problem with that game was that you had to do. It was built on an old engine where you had to compile when you were done. You had to compile so that you could check your work in the build and stuff. And because it was an open world game and it was not an engine made for open world games, you would have compile times. You're like, oh, I had to go in and I had to make some changes in like New Jersey or whatever. Well, I got to compile, and it could literally be over an hour before you could actually check your work. So there were times when I was like the only person in the building, and I'd be like, well, compile, okay. I'm gonna go and there's some arcade cabinets. I'm gonna go dick around the arcade cabinets, or I'm going to like grab one of the Razor scooters, and I'm like Razor scootering around this 4-story HQ building. I'd go down to the bottom lobby and I'm just Razor scootering around and just being bored. Like, so it was less about like, oh, I'm grueling work and more about just like poor workflow.
Vincent beat me to it.
What's? Oh, hang on.
I
What is
literally,
this?
yeah, it was inevitable. You know what's funny is I was just
Yeah.
thinking as I was because you said the right words, and so us nerds know exactly what meme to find.
Yeah.
But what was funny to me is as I was going to go find that, I was like, John's not going to know this. You probably haven't seen this XKCD, have
No,
you?
yeah, I know who that. Yes, I
Oh,
know that.
okay,
I know
okay.
that strip. Yeah, there's
It's
no,
a programming
there's a
thing.
lot of good. There are some jokes that they do that I don't that I whiff
Okay.
on, but no, they do a lot of great strips. Yeah, no,
Yeah, there's a
yeah, I
lot of
love that strip.
general comedy and stuff. It's just that particular one is more of a, I don't know,
Yeah,
programming thing. But yeah, I guess it's a. I mean, you experienced that too, not being a programmer, so makes sense. Makes sense.
yeah, no, well, I mean, certain engine, like the old like Quake engines and stuff used to have like you'd get like leaks. Oh God, what was it called when you'd like build Quake levels? They had they had to be watertight. They would get leaks and then they wouldn't build and stuff. And so yeah, you'd get similar stuff on the art side. Um, anyway, yeah, and then when I first came up here, we did some crunching. I've never slept in the studio up here, and but we've moved away from that. We've moved very far away from that, and I'm actually very, very pleased with where we're at now. And I think one of the reasons behind it, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. I was actually gonna answer something that Punchbot brought up here. But I do want to say, like, just to say it, and then we can circle back around to it. I think that COVID has actually introduced a lot of, it has advanced a lot of thinking around workers' rights and mental health and things like that. And I think a lot of good, obviously, millions of people have died from COVID. So it's not good in that regard, but it's like the whole kind of like forcing a ton of countries across the world to kind of go into these different sort of lockdowns and figure out how do we make things work in this new normal has actually forced a lot of other things to happen that I think ultimately have been that have had some good side effects as far as technology and software and stuff goes. So yeah. Sorry, let me know if you want to jump in at any point here. I'm just kind of rambling.
John, I love the plague. Hackett sees nothing but benefits from COVID. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
No, there are a lot of I would like to see the remote access continue. I saw that GDQ AGDQ 2023. That's a lot of characters. January of next year, and they're going to be completely remote because the conference they had booked was in Florida, and Florida is, what did they do? They made mandates illegal or something, and then there's also
Oh.
some not great laws going on. So they were basically like they were noped out of that, and they were locked in via contract, right? So they were like, well, with the penalty we're paying for not, for backing out of that contract with the Florida conference location, there's no money for a different location, so they're just going to go remote.
Interesting. Were they able to do any kind of? They weren't able to. I would think that maybe they'd go like, "Hey, let's do a round of fundraising or something in order to pay for the fees to get us out of this and recoup those costs or something." But they couldn't do
Yeah,
that.
it's
Huh?
an interesting organization. I'd love to know, the stuff I have no business knowing. Like the financial stuff must be so fascinating because every single stream they raise, over $1 million, sometimes two, like, you know.
Yeah.
But those are all donations designed to, for to benefit people medically, usually,
Mm-hmm.
which is really important. So, but they have sponsors and all kinds of stuff. So I know they must be doing like they're a legit company. They
Yeah.
put on a hell of a show. I watch it as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing so much good in the world. It's awesome. I love GDQ. Um, yeah, I don't know. Logistically, I think that they were like, it makes a lot of sense for an organization like GDQ because all of their speedrunners who help them make that content all week, they're all online all the time. You know what I mean? They're all ready to go. It's probably way easier for them just to be like, yeah, let me just tell me what address to stream to, or like I'm set up. I do this, almost every day. A
Yeah.
lot of those speedrunners, they live online. So it's got to be easier to plug in than it is to like, get all your gear and fly across the country or whatever, sometimes out of the country. Like that's got to be a real burden on some people, especially during a pandemic. So
Mm-hmm.
I did see though that, like, to contrast that's a gaming event. To contrast that, GDC, my understanding is going into 2023. They're like, we're cutting off all that remote stuff that we did,
Mm.
and it's just going to be in person in San Francisco.
Well, the last one was in person. The last
Yeah.
GDC,
Yeah,
they
I
did
think they
that.
had
They went back to in
some.
person. Yeah, you're right
Yeah,
though. They did do some talks that were either like where they streamed them or where they were pre-recorded and then they did the QA lives or things like that. So now they're just saying like, nope, you gotta be here going forward. That's
yeah.
interesting. Yeah, that is a good point, Vincent, about trans representation as well. Like, yeah, there's a lot of, in my opinion, I mean, within the games industry, there's a lot of progressive thinking, and so yeah, there's multiple reasons why I would think you'd get people kind of noping out of a
I
trip to
like.
Florida. Like, why don't we not donate our money to the state of Florida by going there and like renting
Yes.
hotels and buying food and all that stuff? You need to not be patronizing their businesses there and giving the state more money. Like, there's
Like
there's
they've
other
brought
places
people
to
in
go.
before from other countries to stream as a special live event, Sometimes, English is not a first language, and then you compound that with like don't have it in Texas right now. You could get really tangled up legally. Yeah, that's another point. It's safe, safer to do it remote because there's a pandemic, and safer to do it remote because you can stay in the safety of your home. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that support. Like, if you've got the facilities, have your live event, but then also have it all available remotely. That just seems to me like you just have a bigger audience, right?
Yeah, you're trying to attract people from all different countries and all different states around the U.S. and from everywhere to basically come to your convention. Don't hold that convention in a state that's going with like old West style gun laws and where they're stomping all over LGBT rights and stomping all over women's rights and yeah, like there's their COVID protocols. They're like they're poo-pooing all that stuff. So many reasons that you'd just be like, you know what, we're gonna pick a different spot. Up yours,
Yeah,
Florida.
makes a lot of sense. And it doesn't matter to me either way. I'm just gonna watch GDC.
Yeah.
And enjoy the great music.
Yeah.
And have a good time.
So Punchbot made the point that says it does bother me that players will support the articles exposing crunch, but will stop that support once the game comes out, and they like it. With like Red Dead 2 crunch. I mean, there's been multiple games like that, yeah, where a bunch of stuff like that gets reported, but then the game comes out and everybody goes, "Oh, well, I am gonna try the game out. No, I kind of like it." And sorry, what? Crunch? Workers' rights again? Like, oh, they were abusive to their workers, or they had some kind of like sketchy Me Too kind of weirdness happening behind the scenes, and yeah, that's always disappointing. And sometimes you're like, man, gamers have get the memory of a gnat sometimes, and yeah, it's frustrating.
Also, a lot of times the bottom line is they don't really care. You know what I mean? A lot of people will be like, how dare Activision treat their employees such and such a way? I'm still gonna play. It's
Yeah.
hard when that's kind of the way for everything, right? You'll be like, you know, watching a movie, you see a name in the credits, you're like, oh, this is produced by, oh man,
Yeah.
there's some criminal or some assaulter or something, and you're like, no, like my favorite movie, or like it's an impossible. Did you
Yeah.
watch The Good Place?
The Good Place.
The Good Place TV show.
We start. My
Can't talk
wife has
about too
watched
much.
it.
It's full of spoilers.
Yeah, no, we started watching it, and I'm not sure that I actually. You could kind of see where it was going. I didn't really get to everything was fully exposed. I didn't make it all the way. We didn't finish watching the first season. We were kind of like watching it as a family, and then for some reason we bounced off of it. But yeah, I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah, it talks about that kind of thing, ethics. Like it's just an impossible. You can't navigate. There's too many minefield. It's like a minefield. Too many mines to walk on.
Yeah. Punchbot. It's one of the reasons that I have a lot of respect for Jim Sterling. They have always done a really good job of staying on top of that stuff, and they have a nice long memory, and they don't.
I like that.
Hmm?
Nice long memory.
Yeah, they don't forget. That it's something that they continue to hammer on their and like they're always pushing for accountability. They're always pushing for for like justice and stuff. And so I mean, I've always loved their videos just because they're funny. Jim Sterling is extremely entertaining and always has been, but I really admire that about them, about they're just like those convictions, and constantly pushing being very vocal against companies that are exploitative, both to their workers and to players with microtransactions and all that kind of stuff. And they've got a few kind of things that they're always hitting on, and they like don't let companies off the hook on that stuff. And so yeah, I admire that.
Yeah, I like that. Like Jim, you can tell how much they hate EA, right? You can like feel the venom in their voice.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like John Oliver in that way, where he can't he won't mention AT&T without stabbing. He won't mention certain companies without riffing on them. Poke the bear and kind of stuff.
I hear what you're saying, Punchbot. Like I was never on a team that Jim talked about, but I could absolutely see that being like there being some kind of a line that could get crossed where you're like, okay, it wasn't the actual individual programmers and artists and those people who were making those decisions, and so that could feel very conflicting where you're like, okay, yeah, I hear you. Like, Andrew Wilson made us put in those microtransactions and like made us get the game out too early, and we had to crunch and everything. But like, I didn't do that. So don't talk about the devs. So like, yeah, if they cross some kind of line there, I could certainly see that as leaving a bad taste in people's mouths. Yeah, yeah. So I agree with you there. Yeah. So the COVID thing I think is interesting because, yeah, so like my company's been remote since COVID started, and it was kind of like once the And I think a lot of companies have, and a lot of, you read, there's been a lot of stories about companies trying to struggle to get people back into the office and stuff. But it's sort of like, once you've given people a taste of freedom, how do you get that toothpaste back in the tube? And that's been very interesting. But I think, I think there's been an increased awareness of, COVID in general, just of like people just having to deal with a lot of people dealing with stress, people being more protective of their time in terms of like, okay, well, here's my personal time. And then like, okay, it's the end of the day, so I'm leaving now, and I'm not going to, I'm going to shut down Slack, and I'm going to not answer texts, and, all this kind of stuff. I think it's been especially effective within the games industry. I know that that's happening, or attempting to happen, everywhere, as there's the whole kind of like, anti-work movement on Reddit and stuff, and there's also the, there's a big push for unionization within Amazon and Starbucks, and all these different places are pushing for that, because there's like this awareness now of like, we are not paid enough, and we are not treated well enough to deal with this bullshit. And like, we have seen that COVID has shown us that the people who pump your gas and serve your food and pick up your trash, and all those people, like, if they go away, like, society will like screech to a halt. I was actually much more hopeful that people in the, what were they called during COVID? They were called like frontline workers, or no, essential workers. Isn't that what they're called?
Workers.
Essential workers. Essential. They used the word essential workers. I was really hopeful that essential workers would start to get like more benefits, more pay, more everything, more like some actual fucking recognition from society that like, hey, we need these people. McDonald's is not some just crap job that like, low skill workers, and like, we need to just pay you as little as possible. Can I just like sprinkle pennies on you, you plebe, and like, now work, dance for me, monkey,
Trickle
like
down
all that
economics.
Yeah. I was really hoping that there would be some kind of recognition of that, but obviously that was me being naively optimistic. But I mean, there's some of that carried over. Like, some of that, there has been a positive effect, just not as much as I was hoping for. But yeah.
Hey, welcome, Aviv and Craig. It's probably early where you are. The big
we
planet.
Clapped for them. What more do they need?
Yeah, we banged pots and pans together. Andrea and I would step outside sometimes and clap or bang our glasses. The boat. So we lived near a marina, in a marina when that was going on, and the boats. You would start to realize how many people lived in the various boats that were parked, because they would lay down on their horns. It was quite loud outside our door. One boat living resident had like a trombone or a trumpet, and would like play the sounding. That was pretty fun. It was like 7 p.m. Pacific every day for a month.
Yeah. Imagine. Oh my God.
Months.
How effing tone deaf was that Imagine video? So much.
Imagine. It just makes your skin crawl.
Oh God. Yeah, but you know what? Like, it would have been great to see more. But no, like, we're back to like, shitting on teachers, and shitting on lower paying jobs. So the funny thing is about, like, I've seen, there's been, this is a big topic and well outside the realm of game dev. We're just talking about like we're talking well outside game dev at this point.
The cantankerous old man show.
Hey man, I want to see. Yeah, I want to see. I want to see fucking progress in society, right? I want to see us advance as a people, and I want Gene Roddenberry's vision of the future. You know what I mean? Like some acceptance, and some like removal of like all these various socioeconomic strata where there's just people on the bottom who just get shit on constantly. Like it was a very, it wasn't necessarily utopia, but it was a much more positive view of what we could do as a people if we just got our head out of our ass.
Yeah, the problem is people have built so much automation. Like there is a way for humanity just to be like, we just have fields of farms and robots just do that for us, and we're all just kind of fine, and we can just like Logan's Run, although with no killing at 30, but we all just kind of live in the field and we're fed grapes by robots. Like we could build, like we have the technology, we could build towards that and have that going in like a few decades if we all just collectively made it happen. But instead we're like, no, let's have a million cars on the road. And you know,
Yeah, imagine if you had taken those people who no longer have to be out in the fields picking the berries and allowed them to pursue other things, and you would then, you know, like fill your day with how you want to be spending your time. You know,
sorry, I banged the mic.
Artistic endeavors, you know, research, you know, or just eating the grapes, you know, sitting around eating grapes. Yeah, take that, take the savings that you get for, well, and also by the way, all of the God, all of that stuff does produce jobs as well. Like suddenly, you know, okay, I'm not picking berries anymore, but now I have to, like, you know, maintain the robots or something. You know, there's other jobs there that get created, so it's not like just everybody's out of a job. But yeah, that's why you then the net benefit there, you take that and you loop that back into a UBI, and you then get people who are able to just kind of like, wasn't that supposed to be the idealized version of the future? Like the goddamn Jetsons was like, oh well, robots do all the dumb monkey work stuff that we don't want to do, and so now we have more free time. Like that was like the vision of the future of like, well, robots go do the vacuuming, I'm gonna kick my feet up, you know. Yeah, we poo-poo on all that. Anyway, I'm totally ranting.
The political game dev podcast.
Yeah, that could be a whole thing, and it would just be me just bitching for like 5 hours straight, and
yeah,
people it would not be entertaining because I would just get angry and worked up, and I would just be screaming by the end of it and throwing chairs.
I gotta watch this YouTube video later. I haven't seen this, but you had me at David Cross and you kept me with Bob Odenkirk and Sarah Silverman, so I'll watch that later. That looks good.
Oh, okay.
I'm a fan of those individuals. Yeah. So, okay. Maybe we'll have a separate stream. We'll do a political rant stream. But no, this one,
we're off in the weeds at this point. I don't want to, and it's polarizing too. It shouldn't be polarizing, but it is.
Yeah, the world's a very polarizing place right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, how about this? I'll shove this in your face. This is a note for myself.
I can't read your handwriting. What is that?
Okay, I can't either. Now I do this to myself a lot. These, not this particular, but I have all kinds of papers. Like I have the things you put on your door in the shower that's waterproof. I have notes all over the place, and sometimes they make no sense to me. There was one on stream that was yesterday. There was one on stream yesterday, where I didn't even know what the hell it was, like a to-do item, and I was like, I don't even know what the hell that means, so I just deleted it. Here's what it says. Esther Shanks, first boss, gets mad if you trample plants. That's a note for me to get into my game.
That's a good note.
So I here's what I'm thinking is here's what I'm getting out of this. Do you remember Liege of Gaia? I think it was Liege of Gaia. Liege of Gaia, magic card. Gaia's Liege.
Yes, but I don't remember what it actually did.
Anyway,
I didn't play a lot of green decks, honestly. So
fair enough. I liked green. So anyway, it was like a creature that was very like of the woods. So here's what I'm picturing is a boss you get to, where it's like it's kind of amorphous, where it's not just like one sprite dancing around. It's like a bunch. And they're kind of comprised of like the various plants of the environment. And they kind of move around that way, right? And what I'm picturing is you have to get to the boss and move around it and, you know, try to deal damage to it or something. And so what I added to the stream yesterday is trampling grass. And so I was thinking I add different kinds of plants to the area where the boss is. And if you like trample certain flowers, it like upsets the boss and powers it up, and it'll spawn more ads and move faster, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there could be different plants where if you trample them, it damages the boss. And so even though this is stupid and just like, what is that? I do get some cool stuff out of this that kind of comes from the stream yesterday. So anyway, this nonsense note, I'm gonna have a cool boss in the woods. That's the takeaway in my game Witchmore.
Right on.
That was the abrupt subject change from whatever political.
Well, it was derailing me off of my progressive,
this was my reverse card and
socialism rants and stuff. So yes, thank you.
This was my my Wrath of God and Magic, or my what was the other one that cleared Armageddon, where it hits the reset. But
clear the board.
Palette cleanser.
Yeah.
Some ginger.
Okay, well, so let's go back to, yes, we'll get it back onto game dev, but I do want to go back to game dev because I had let's go back to I had a couple points I wanted to make about the crunch subject again before we let that go, because we went from crunch to that, because that very easily dovetails into workers' rights and stuff, and then we got out of game dev there. But something that I think is interesting, because I started all this off by saying that, like, yeah, I know Glenn. I worked for Glenn for many years. And I took that tweet as I don't think
the tweet again, Andrea.
I don't think he's a
we need context again.
Yeah.
She's doing it.
This is just sort of like
context.
General game industry. It's general advice for any industry that you're in as you sort of move up a ladder, as you progress, and kind of like, you're a whatever, and then you're a senior whatever, and then you become a lead whatever, and then you could move in from there. You can branch into, like, I'm going to be a specialist, or I'm going to be a people manager, or whatever, and you're director level, and then you're starting your own company, etc., etc. You need to realize at a certain point that you at a certain point you need to realize that you live by different rules. Like, as your seniority grows, your influence grows and changes, and you need to think about how you're being perceived by other people on the team and the weight that your words can have. So you have to actually you got to think about that. It requires a lot of introspection and a lot of practice, and thinking about, like, something that you said 5 years ago when you were just starting versus now something that you say as a lead. You can say the exact same thing, but as a lead, it's quite problematic. If you're just a scrub, you could kind of shoot your mouth off and say whatever you want, but like, the higher you go, the more you need to kind of clamp down and be like, I can't really do that. Some people don't like that, and that's a big reason for a lot of people not wanting to advance, or kind of like hitting a certain point and going like, I'm good here, I'm good at this level, because they kind of know that above a certain level you kind of have to do that, and how you're perceived changes and stuff. So, but it's something you have to be aware of. It's something you have to be aware of, honestly, anywhere you work. But everything that we know comes from working in the games industry. I don't know how to do anything else. So that's my all of my experience stems from that. But I've absolutely seen that in other people. I've seen that in myself as my working in games for 22 plus years or whatever. Like, I've definitely had to go through periods where I've had to change who I can talk to and about what and all that kind of stuff, because in a position of power, your words just you've got perceptions, everything, and you gotta live by different rules.
That's true. If you've been at the company for a week and you're an intern and you say losers don't work on the weekends, right? It's different than if the CEO says that. You're like, what? Should I be working on the weekends? I'll be there Saturday morning.
Right.
I didn't know.
Those exact same words tweeted out by somebody who's just like an environment artist on the team. Who cares? Like, they could say that all day. It would not have even been a blip. No one would have
Mm-hmm.
noticed. And in fact, somebody might have been like, okay, well, you're trying to suck up to the boss or something like that. Might have been the most, kind of like anti-reaction that it would have gotten, but it wouldn't have been a story. But yeah, when you're at the top saying that stuff, then suddenly it's it turns into that will no one rid me of this turbulent priest? The whole thing about that, like it'd be a shame if it's a nice place you got here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it, kind of thing. Like if you're stating that about yourself, then you're implying it about others as well. That the Always Sunny reference of the
Implication.
it's the implication. People can look that up if they're not familiar with Always Sunny, but it's I'm not going to go into that here, but that's what it is.
In every example, those are all great examples you gave, but in every one of them is the underlying threat, right? Something I remember from the past would be like, a boss would be like, yeah, I'm staying late, but you don't have to. And you're like, okay, that's cool. I'm glad I don't have to. But at the same time, like, that I care about the job, and I like want raises and promotions, and that I want you to continue to think I'm a top earner or performer, whatever. You know what I mean? There's it's the implication stuff where you're like, okay, and you do that balance in your head, and you're like, I guess I will sacrifice my night and I will continue to work.
Yeah. And you come in the next morning and it'll be like everybody's talking about the crazy stuff that they got up to at 10 p.m. last night, and how they ordered pizza, and hey, well, we bonded, and we also like got in this new thing that that we hadn't planned for before. Now it's in, or something, and you're like, and you show up and they're like, oh, hey, you who wasn't here with the rest of us while we were crunching and doing all of our macho chest pounding about it and stuff, and it's then you suddenly feel like an outsider. And it's weird. It gets weird.
Yeah, quickly. Yeah. I think, Craig, that may have been the best choice overall. Like web dev salaries are great, and like some of the startups, like I mentioned earlier, are crunchy all the time. But like you might enjoy game dev more now than you would if you had been ground up by it. Yeah.
There's probably some point, you had made a note, Matt, about like how Hollywood has a lot of unionization within it. And if there had been, there were probably several inflection points in the past where the games industry could have gone that route, but just didn't. And it's like, because of that, that's how you get these things still able to happen here in 2022. When I first joined EA in 2005, this is an old reference, but it was right after there's that legal thing called EA spouses. I don't know if you remember that or not, but it was essentially, if you Google EA spouses, it was essentially people at I think it was EA LA. I don't think it was the EA HQ.
Yeah, I remember that because you were at EA, right?
So I joined like right after was resolved legally, and I got like a big check. So I benefited. Cool. I wasn't there during the crunch, but I came in as they were kind of having to do their like whoops and compensating people and stuff, and so I got a check, and I was like, great, okay, well, so I came in right at the right time. But that was a big stink at the time, and it was because a bunch of people came together and started pointing out and talking about all of the crunch that was happening, and about how people weren't getting compensated for their time, and California had to get involved there in terms of like labor laws and stuff. And so I mean, that was a really bad case, and honestly, I think the biggest thing that happened after that was it was more like keep it on the down low. It was like, you can't make official, and all that came of it was you can't make official announcements about it anymore. You can't mandate it. You have to be a little sneakier about it. And it was like, well,
stop bragging about crunch.
Yeah.
Stop bragging about employee abuse.
Yeah.
That was the result.
Right. But you will, Punchbot's right. You will feel like you're missing out on some kind of bonding, and it is toxic for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, good. Always send people home when they're sick. That was a big thing with startups. When I was just working as like a software developer in Silicon Valley, was like almost like a badge of honor. People would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm real sick, but I've been coming in the office the last 2 days." And
Mm-hmm.
we have modern medicine, we know about these things, but at the same time, like back then, there was just less culture where you'd be like, "That's fine, right? Yeah, we want people to work, even sick." And then, oh, half the office is sick, and you're all like, "Yeah, that's just kind of how life works." And you're like, "No,
Yeah.
that was this. It was this person showing up. That's why half the office is sick.
Yeah.
It's a real cut and dry case here. This is not just like, yeah, you get sick, you go to an office."
It's always been that way in an office for
Yeah.
me. That it would be like every winter there would be like a flu that would work its way through the office,
Yeah,
and there you'd make jokes,
happens.
you'd kind of jab people about like, oh, this guy was patient zero, he was the first person that got sick, and then like, oh, and then there was like there'll be like a couple months in the winter where just various people are in and out being sick and stuff. That's another good side effect from COVID, I think, is that like COVID has taught us like, oh, okay, you don't seem well. Get your coffee, sniffly, sneezy ass out of here, or you're gonna make everybody sick. You're gross. Like you're disgusting right now. You're blowing your nose. I've been very guilty of this myself. Like I'm at the studio and I'm like blowing my nose and snotting and coughing and stuff. But you hang around because you're like, well, I'm not that sick. Like I'm still doing my thing. But meanwhile, you're contagious and you're gross, and you know that you're inevitably gonna pass this on to somebody else, and you're gonna make so like now it's much more like, yeah, go get the hell out of here and take a week if you need to. Just come back without being so damn gross and contagious. So that's a good side effect, I feel like. Yeah, I agree with Anne's response to that. Like, if you're asking, am I too sick to work? And the other thing is that it's like it's less of a question that you should be even asking yourself, and more it's a question you should be asking the people that have to sit around an office with you. They should be able to basically vote you off the island. They should be able to just go like, you are gross, like you look like hell, and you're blowing your nose all day and you're coughing and everything, and like, ew, get out of here. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying there too, Andrea. Like I'm very, when I'm in any people manager duties that I great, thanks, Matt. Get that out of here. Anytime that I've
This is bad news for you that I just learned how to do this, by the way.
Yeah,
I will now
great.
use this.
John Hackett is pro COVID. That's the headline.
People who subscribe to my newsletter at Valadria.com, they know that I cannot resist an area where I can put text.
Yeah, when people say they need the time off or something, I'm like, yeah, go. Like I don't need to hear why. I don't need a doctor's note. You don't need to explain to me why, yeah, you need some time. Go for it.
Dude,
Like,
that's something like Andrew and I both have needed some time away from just the corporate churn, I guess, crunch. I don't know. So the corporate shadow, to me, it was just like we needed to get away from that constant, like, you need to be here at this time. And, look, if you're not going to be working all day on any given day, you need to you need to tell a little story or something. You need to just you need to go do a thing. And, sometimes you just want to live your damn life. I want to be like, look, it's Wednesday and I fucked off. And that needs to be okay sometimes. And I don't want to tell anyone or ask permission or be told no. And that's just part of being a human, I think, is like, you can only cage us so much. And, I did that shit for years and years. And I might end up in that box again. I wouldn't be shocked, right? But at a certain point, you just, you gotta just Dragon Ball Z out of. That's just humanity, right? Like we have limits that are different for everybody and that fluctuate over time. And I just hit mine there where it was just something simple like, oh yeah, we got a meeting every Monday morning. Just after a while, and if you think about it too, was at my last job just about 5 years. That's longer than high school. It's longer than college. That's like a long time. That's a good chunk of time. And I feel like life had kind of prepared us for like a break.
Mm-hmm.
School would give you 3 months off, summer break between grades, and then there would be a gap sometimes between college and anyway, Work just goes, man. Work is just like, oh, are you 24 and you got your first full-time job? Welcome to the next 50 years.
Yeah.
Like, whoo. There's like there's no sabbatical. Like, is that not a thing in startup land? And it's like,
Not in startup.
Not really.
Thanks for tuning in, Punchbot. Good questions. Good convo. And they say that the game looks great.
Double crunch. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Oh, thanks. Glad you like how the game looks.
Mental health days are a thing. Like the good thing, Matt, you mentioned like, oh, you may have to go back to that. The good thing is, I think like you wouldn't, you know that you could stay remote. Like I like that is the new state of things, is that there's shitloads of remote work out there now, and people are able to kind of live wherever they want now, which is cool. And yeah, catching diseases from your coworkers is less of a thing now. But there's a higher awareness now of mental health days, and just kind of like, you know what, I need a break. And people being able to be, protective of their time and stuff. And all those places exist now. And if you don't think that they do, keep looking, because it's sort of the new normal, at least in like, smaller game studios, and actually some of the larger ones too. I've heard that a lot of places, like, I don't know if I heard this about Ubisoft, was that who I heard it about, but that they're very accepting at this point of various remote work.
I think games are slower to adopt that, but they are adopting it. But from what I've seen, there's a lot of startups that were already completely remote before COVID kind of paved the way for even more of that. Like just off the top of my head, GitLab, totally remote, really big company, hundreds of employees, totally distributed. There's lots of companies like that. I do know a fair amount of indies. Like I know Greenheart Games is like that. Like their core is in Australia, but they work with people from all around. That's got to be real common in the Indio sphere.
And things have only gotten better for them too, from a hiring perspective, right? Suddenly, like now that's something that people are looking for. It's actually something that people are willing to accept slightly less for, because it doesn't require relocation and living in some kind of, high rent area like the goddamn Bay Area. Like you can actually save a lot of money that way too. And for me personally, what's been very interesting for me is, like I mentioned, using Discord and streaming and stuff. We've had a lot of stuff where we're reviewing software as a group, where the review process has actually in some ways gone more smoothly than it would go if we were in person, if we were all together in person, because specific to VR, if somebody's playing VR and you're having to like all get into a position so you could see the monitor, or maybe it's being thrown up on a TV or something, but it's kind of like you got to find a way to do that, versus you do it on Discord. The person just streams the game and everybody can watch their in-headset view and everything, and it's much more intuitive, and everybody it's also been a great equalizer, right? Anybody who was remote before is now, that's the norm, and everybody's on the same playing field. And so it's like sort of equalized all the voices and stuff too. If there were any studios that had some people remote and some people not, or things like that. So remote work is great. It's got a lot of pluses. I love it.
Yeah, the commute alone. Like I remember when I was working at Raptor in Mountain View, the gaming startup. I got in a car wreck and I didn't have a car for 6 months, and it was an hour and a half door to door, because I would walk to the light rail, and the light rail would take a half an hour, and then it was kind of 15 minutes walking each way. So hour and a half. So it was 3 hours out of my day. I was in the office 8 or 9 hours. That was my whole damn day.
Yeah.
I left early and I got home late.
Yeah.
And 3 hours a day. I mean, I was actually pretty productive, because I would just code on my laptop for probably most of that hour, right?
But you were very privileged to have access to public transport there. Other people have to sit there, on their ass, white knuckling a steering wheel and paying attention to traffic, hyper focusing on traffic the entire time, so they don't get in a wreck. You can't. Yeah, that's lost time.
Yeah, driving is really something, especially driving in traffic, is something it feels designed to agitate the human brain. Like sitting on a light rail for an hour is not that stressful. It's just kind of boring and sort of a waste if you want to be doing other things or in other places. But if you're driving, like, you know, maybe some people like it. To me, I'm like, you know, the like that being in traffic is just designed to like, it takes 100% of your attention and like 1% of your brain power. And that's just such an obnoxious, like, you know, game design wise, you wouldn't just like, that's a terrible game design, right?
Yeah.
There's no interesting decisions to make. There's no big rewards. And it's just constant, like, you need to go 10 feet up. Okay. You can go 10 miles per hour. No, stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Like it's so boring, right? It's like it feels like torture. Like it is designed to bug humans.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
it's a very anti-human
work,
thing.
Yeah, remote work. You sit down, you hit a button, and you know you're working. That's
yeah. I mean,
I'll take it over a train.
I had it easy here. I was able to like I'm a 10-minute bike ride from where my studio is, but still there's a thing about like, okay, well you'd have to get up, you'd have to take a shower, you'd have to like get your stuff, you know, ready and put it in a backpack and go down to the garage and kind of like there was a bunch of like prep and stuff. It wasn't just the 10 minute I spent 20 minutes commuting. It's like, no, there's the just getting ready for your day. And then it was 10 minutes of travel time, but there was a whole lot of lead up and stuff. And then the same with returning as well. And then also like if you're in a place, then it can be harder to make that delineation of like, you know, you get the old thing of like, you know, the old Fred Flintstone thing of, well, it's 5 o'clock and they pull the little horn and you chunk your time card out and you leave. Like that's not always the way it works when you're actually at a place. It can be easy to kind of get swept up and stuff. And commute time though is terrible. It's commute time is largely just, if I think back about all the time I've spent in cars just going from point A to point B and then back to A at the end of the day, like just think of all the hours. Yeah, you can't think about it because you'll want to.
I mean, I think about that sometimes. Like, you know, we used to live in LA for years, and when you look at that mass of cars, and especially at night, you just see red tail lights and just white. You just see this mass of people, and you look out and you're like, that sucks. That's just thousands of people who could be doing something better with their time than sitting in traffic.
Yeah. Look at all these human hours just lost. Just and sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah, and no one's like, you know, it's like a little slice of human misery. It's not the worst thing ever, but it's like it's an unpleasant, you know, part of dealing with modern life, really.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So this was the fun half of the show of our stream.
we did some game dev things. We did. I fixed a bug.
Well, I think there's
my game a little bit.
I mean, just largely, broadly, I think there is value in talking about like the game industry as a whole, like what's going on in the game industry, and also like how people should be, you know, are you wanting to be indie, or you're wanting to spend some time, if you want to join a bigger studio and stuff. Like if anybody ever has any questions for us about that kind of stuff, that's stuff super interesting to talk about. You know, and because there's all kinds of like tips there and stuff. My a big tip that I have just in general is just be I'm not gonna talk about anything specific like that Anne told me not to talk about, but the be a multiplier, be a good person to. I would prioritize being a good person to work with over being a savant or something. Like I've talked about this with people that I've worked with for years. I would much rather have, if somebody was a 7 out of 10, but they're an absolute joy to work with. They're very easygoing and friendly, and they get their tasks done on time. And I would take that person 100 times out of 100 versus somebody who's a 10 out of 10 with their discipline, but they're kind of a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? They're always like causing problems. They're
Yeah.
creating friction. They're sort of like they're changing lanes without signaling. You know what I mean? And like sort of just causing disruptions and creating sort of an unseen amount of work that they've got ripple effects from them. Um, be the first person. Like be work on the. There's a big value to the soft skill side of things. Um, in terms of like just be a good person. Be somebody that people want. They want to have you on their team because you have a multiplying factor, and just you're just easy to work with, and you just kind of increase the overall like positive morale. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that I value that more than if somebody's you got a 7 out of 10 artist, and then here's an 8 or a 9, 10 out of artist, and but then at that point you're like, I don't know, that matters less. You can work on that stuff or things like that. But if one person is annoying in some way or seems problematic in some way, then it's like, get out of here. Like that's up here on my priority list when I'm looking to like hire people versus like
Yeah.
versus I'm
I would agree with that.
yeah. And again, that's probably true of working anywhere. I don't know that that's exclusive to games, but it's something that I've come across multiple times. So
It does seem extra important in games because there's a lot of collaboration sometimes.
yeah, it's a creative, collaborative industry, and there's a lot of the juice of it comes from being able to get along with and work well with the people that you're working with. So
Yeah.
be one of the good ones. Yeah.
Don't be an asshole.
Yeah,
I like the Bill and Ted's, just the be excellent to each other.
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. It sounds, yeah, it's very easily percolated down to that, and it sounds like it's one of those things that's like, is that even worth saying? It's pretty damn basic. Everybody should think that, it's
It does
still
feel a
worth
bit like
reinforcing.
the I can't believe I have to say this, but be nice. And games industry is known for not being nice, so I guess we do have to say that
Yeah.
and repeat it forever.
Don't be a toxic person. Don't yell at people, or don't infer that people should crunch.
Yeah. Don't be happy that your team is suffering.
Yeah. That's all. Okay. I feel like I should take my soapbox and like fold it up and stick it back in the closet and leave it there for a while.
Did you get your soapboxing out of your system?
Yeah. I think so.
You got very Michael Bluth vibes at the moment. Did you watch Arrested Development?
Yeah.
No.
I need to. It's one of those where I've seen season 1 of that show like 3 times, but for some reason I always hit the end of season 1 and then I'm this way with 30 Rock too. I'll watch the season and then I'll be like, okay, that was a lot. I need a break from it. And then when I go back to it, I don't pick up at the beginning of season 2 for some reason.
Start over? Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, I start over because I'm like, I want to remind myself of like what this show is like. I
Nah,
love
get
both
out
of
of there.
those shows. They're very funny. Like I need to spend more time with them. But
Yeah. No, they're both great. Season 2 of both of those shows are fantastic. We'll get on that.
reverse Shia LaBeouf? What? I think I'm not getting the. There's multiple Shia LaBeouf references that I could think of, and I'm like,
Yeah. Mostly what I
which
get from
Shia
him is
LaBeouf?
Yeah. What flavor?
Yeah.
Of LaBeouf? I guess what I think mostly of is the do it.
That's
the
what I think of
angry-
too. Yeah. Okay.
The angry do it. But yeah, earlier from you, I was getting the more like, how do you describe Michael Bluth? The
Jason Bateman character.
yeah, he feels like angelic, fatherly, or like he needs to discipline his family or lay down the law or tell you what's right. Anyway, that's all. So
Wow,
he would
okay.
be, he's the soapbox person. He's the most likely to stand on the soapbox. That's what you were doing.
Oh, okay.
I was watching the show
All right.
earlier, so
Okay.
It's fresh on my mind.
Well, I mean, I am a father. You know, it is interesting how much crossover there is between being a parent and like being a lead.
Mm.
Um,
Watch, yeah.
I would
You ever see
often
your
like when I
children?
was at EA and I was doing lead stuff. And then being lead and a parent at the same time. I was like, as like it's probably not a good. Well, I don't. Yeah, I was like, there's a lot of crossover. Some of the same skills that
You
help me
start
deal
calling your
with toddlers also helps me deal with some of the like department issues and stuff.
yeah. You start calling. You're like, well, what's wrong with the build, champ? You start
Right.
talking like in a demeaning. You speak talking down to a child or
No,
something.
I don't talk to
Yeah.
kids. Come
Well,
on.
what do we do when our model won't unwrap? I don't know. What do you say in the 3D?
What have we learned from? Okay, so we broke the build. What have we learned? What's our takeaway from this?
Yes.
What are we
And
what are we gonna do next time?
did you apologize to?
Did you apologize to the programmers because you broke the build?
What do we say? Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. Not exactly what I meant, but yes, but it's a much
Yeah.
funnier take on
You're in more of a lead role than before.
it. Yeah. Yes.
I have no follow up.
Well, yeah, yeah. I'm currently game director, which is yeah, it's different.
Sounds very different.
And
Yeah.
I'll let you know how it is like
I think
after
it's
I've done it
cool.
for a little longer. I'm no yeah.
I don't know what you want to talk about, but Andrea just asked how many direct reports you have. And you can always not answer.
I mean, I work
You-
at a small
You
studio.
can take the Fifth Amendment on
take the
work, any
Fifth.
work question. Although I won't. I can't.
I work at a small studio, and I think the most I've ever had has been like 4 direct reports.
What did you have, Andrea, when you were director of UX? 97.
No, like 6.
6 or something.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Okay.
What's funny is I've reached that point in my career where I've been doing the indie thing long enough that I have seen people, like my peers, get promotions and move onwards, and I stay indie. And to the corporate world, my skills are probably not like, it's more specialized, right? They're looking for someone who's like, oh, they spent the last 10 years just focused on programming, and now they're like a principal engineer or something, versus I'm just more similar to like a lead or senior engineer, but I have so many other skills I've been developing. Like my T is super wide, right? But the body of my T remains, like a programming,
Yeah.
art and design or something. But anyway, yeah,
You wear a lot of
definitely-
hats.
I wear a lot of hats, but my title remains like, indie developer. you know what I mean?
Right.
Just guy who makes games. Whereas my friends, lead, manager, director, and that's just
Yeah.
it's the what is that called? The must be getting tired. The cost, the what do we call that, Ann? Opportunity cost. That's it. Opportunity cost. It's you don't think about it until it's been like years that you've done a thing, and then you see the opportunity cost, which is interesting.
Well, I mean, so regardless of like if you see them as more like advanced or something up a ladder, you're still, regardless of how high up there they get, you're still gonna be considered in an enviable position to a large percentage of those people, I would imagine, because you get to wear a lot of hats, and because you get to dictate how your own day goes, and because you've got freedom. Like for some people that's
Always a
like
trade-off.
seems way more appealing than the kind of like day-to-day stuff that they have to deal with, even though they've got I got a title, my title is such and such, but they'll still be like, ah, damn, Matt, you got it so good.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends with basically golden handcuffs, right? And I have no handcuffs, but I also have no gold. Right? So that's this life. Pick your poison. Unless you were born into some huge inheritance or something, you gotta just pick your pain.
Yeah.
You gotta find some way to do it.
Yep. Yeah, well, it is getting late. I'm getting tired too. I somehow found some energy at some point. Before we started the stream, I was dragging because I haven't gotten very much sleep last couple nights.
You were
Because
smauging.
kids are going back to school. Have gone back to school this week, so I've had to get up at 7 the last couple mornings and stuff. So
Fun.
I gotta fix my schedule. I gotta, I'm still like staying up until like 1:32 or something like that, and it's. Yeah,
I love when the
that's not
numbers
working
work out that way, because what I hear is that you've been going to bed most nights at 1 o'clock plus 32 minutes. 1:30.
One,
I know what you meant. I know.
1:30 or 2,
Yeah, I know what you meant.
somewhere
But
in
it's
there.
funny because you're like, oh, it's 1:31. I gotta rush to bed.
1:31. Asleep by 1:32. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Exactly 1:32 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrea and I are on kind of different schedules lately. I think she has become the night. Like some kind of bat or owl person. And I don't know, I just resort to like old man state now. I wear my old man hat and my old man beard, and midnight hits and I'm like, well, my old man bones are getting tired.
Yeah.
But then randomly I'll be up to like 4 a.m. if I'm working on a cool game thing or something.
Yeah, it's whenever you get that motivation, you get that splash of inspiration.
Yeah,
That's
I
hard
was
to turn
staying
off.
up late that week. I was working on making big indie games. I
Yeah.
like that, just wrapping that up that last week. I was basically crunching. It was like self-imposed crunch, but it was like fun crunch. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was just doing it because I had the momentum. You do it because you love it. Yeah.
Good callback.
Good job, man.
Yeah, that's about that tweet that we were talking about. So you're gonna be asleep in about a half hour, and Anne, are you looking at like you're gonna watch a few episodes of some TV show or a movie?
She's
or
a brave
something?
heart or two away from sleep. I'm
Time to watch Ben-Hur. It's midnight. Let's put in Ben-Hur.
yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, that's a long movie. That's what that reference is. That's an old ass Charlton Heston biblical movie. It's a great movie, but it's super long. That's why I made that reference. No one knows what that movie is. People are like Ben-Hur.
Yeah, I use
Okay, old
Braveheart,
man.
but that movie's also disappearing into time.
How long? How long is Braveheart?
2 hours 57 minutes.
See, that's quaint these days. That's like, oh, they couldn't even hit the 3-hour mark. You
Yeah,
know,
really.
It's like, I mean, when you think about it,
I
think about
use,
how bloody long Endgame was. That was over 3 hours long, right? And then like we saw that in the theaters, and nobody
Yeah.
complained. And that movie flies. That movie flies by.
It does.
Man, like I am very glad we got to see that. Like that we were like able to experience that movie in the theaters, you know, because like that was cool. Even if you didn't go to some place where people were dressed up in costumes or whatever, there was still that movie was filled with laughs and gasps and cheers and stuff, and like seeing that in a theater was a cool experience.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something, but I forgot.
Yeah, the new Thor is up. Oh yeah, maybe I'll watch She-Hulk before I go to sleep. I've been liking that show still. I mean, I don't get any of the, well, I do get the hate. I understand why people are hating on it, but like, goddamn, like it's a good show. I actually am liking She-Hulk more than I liked some of the other recent stuff. Like it to me,
Yeah, I
it's
agree with
it's
that.
tonally it's spot on. They're just doing like a fun lawyer sitcom thing where they're breaking the fourth wall. The episodes are nice and tight and short and stuff, and like so the humor comes across. You don't get tired of it. The CG was a little like in the last episode when she was walking around in her suit. The CG looked kind of sketch, and to the point where I was like, couldn't they just get some kind of WNBA player to like just walk around and be the body model for the suit, and then do some digital shit where they
Yeah.
put the green stuff on top? Like what, doing that in total CG, the suit looked like it was swimming around on her and stuff, and it looked a little phoned in. But
I don't really believe that it was actually cheaper and better to film that with CG. I think
Yeah.
it's just because across the board, Hollywood in general is just like, we're just trying to do everything this way now. And you're like, you know that you can use a tall person and some very simple forced perspective there's a lot of different things you can do, and I mean, I kind of get it because they already had a pipeline. They were like, look, this is how we do Hulk. We're gonna do Hulk this way, and so we just want to do. Like, you could almost think about it as like from game developers' perspective: is do you want two systems that now have to work together? And because like I could see how the expense would be, okay, yeah, maybe it's cheaper to do it practical than CG, but only a little bit. But I think about this a lot with games, especially is there's a difference between one piece of tech and another piece of tech. If they have to work together, that's a third thing a lot of times. You know what I mean? Like, if you need to not just have your CG, which there's no way they're going to have no CG, they're definitely going to have CG. And then you also add in there, we're also going to have this different actress and forced perspective, and then has to be also be compatible with the CG. That's actually a much bigger problem than just having practical stuff or just having CG, right? And that's one of the reasons I think that like the Fellowship of the Ring looked so good, is because most of that stuff they did just practically. They didn't have the extra complication of like, oh, by the way, in every single scene there's going to be a Hulk smashing all of your forced perspective objects and stuff. Like, that does sound like a beast. Anyway,
yeah,
this is me rambling, but like, and my brain, I have a hard, like when I'm watching She-Hulk, that's the thing that's going on in my head. I'm not just watching, like, it's rare when a show can completely pull me out and I'm just had a great time watching a show. Usually my brain is watching the show and I'm like, now if they did practical, wouldn't the CG, but then I guess that would be hard. Like, that's what I'm doing as I'm watching this show.
Yeah, I was just about to say what Andrew just said. Yeah, John Byrne did that for you. You're right, Vincent, that it is accurate to source material, because the John Byrne run he did all that stuff. He introduced that into the She-Hulk character and kind of made that her thing. I think they dropped it. I think it's kind of in and out depending on who's running the comic or whatever. But that was her thing, and it also totally works with the whole lawyer show Ally McBeal kind of thing too. So it's kind of like you get it from both ends there. It just kind of like seems like a natural fit. I think I told you this. I just put in Fellowship of the Ring like a week ago.
It's my favorite movie of all time. The extended version.
Of course.
Otherwise,
watching the
like,
theatrical versions now, you're like, what
missing.
is this? Like, it doesn't make any sense anymore. The all the Hobbit shit in Fellowship, the whole intro stuff, the way that they're, because I think it in the original one, it was very different how the Hobbit stuff came in. Yeah, it's done perfectly. Anyway, yeah, the thing with where they're sitting on the cart, where Frodo jumps onto the cart and then they're just sitting there, like, you watch that and you go like, I can't see it. There is no indication here
just works
that Ian McKellen is sitting like a good 8 feet closer to the camera or whatever the hell it is. It just totally works, and it's not one of those things that will age, because they just
exactly right.
And then they're sitting around and Frodo's or Bilbo's pouring him tea and stuff, and all that shit just works. And it's you're never going to be like, oh, the skin doesn't look right, and the CG aged it. Like, no.
It's like again, my brain goes to game dev, but the last generation of pixel art games are going to look gorgeous forever. Final Fantasy VI is a masterful piece of artwork that looks great. Scale up those pixels. You can put the CRT filter on it if you want. It doesn't matter. It always is going to look gorgeous. Whereas the very next generation, the 3D was quite clunky. Mario 64, PlayStation with its pointy, low poly, like not stylized sprites, just low poly, and then like the perspective was a little wonky on some 3D games. Like, that's kind of where we're at with movies. Like, if you compare movies to something like music, movies is a very new medium, even though it's been around for quite a while, right? But yeah, so like the practical effects and the forced perspective to me is pixel art, where it's just perfect and it'll always look exactly as they wanted it to. Whereas the CG and the early 3D with games and stuff, it really dates it, and like it looks good at the moment because it's the best you can do. But in 10 years, 100 years down the road, it's gonna look like hot garbage, or at least just of that moment, which is not a bad thing.
It'll just have an age to it. It'll have a certain age where you're like, well, okay, I can see.
Like when you see a flip phone, you're like, okay, that was like 90s, 2000s, like that. That's not gonna be 2050, and that wasn't 1800s.
Yeah. Right. To me, Link to the Past still looks amazing.
One of my
It's just
favorite
like
games.
it's just beautiful pixel art. It just doesn't age.
Almost perfect.
Yeah, or you just look at it and you're like, that looks great. Like it doesn't have any kind of it doesn't have an age. It doesn't have an aged aspect to it where you look at it and you're like, oh, that's an old outdated thing. Versus, yeah, it's the perfect example. The PlayStation 1, like, oh, we're gonna just jump straight into 3D even though it sucks. Like you're gonna, let's fire up Toshinden, Battle Arena Toshinden on the PlayStation 1, and it's like, here's these like pointy, jaggy ass, 40 polygon characters beating the crap at each other, and you're just like, I feel like it's stabbing me in the eyes. But
Yeah,
but
well, it's
whatever,
funny
it's
that
new
the
and fresh,
time-
and so I'm gonna try to play it.
Yeah, like all those games looked incredible at the time because it's all we had. Like even I remember Virtua Racing was an arcade game, and it was one of those Sega Genesis games that had like the extra hardware, I believe, built into it, so it could actually do it. But it was still like 12 frames per second, and the polygons were terrible. But you were also driving a car down a road.
Yeah.
And we're jaded now. We're like, yeah, whatever. That looks perfect. You can do that in any game. Grand Theft Auto 5, you can just drive around the world in any car and it looks amazing. But like back in the day, it was like, you go from Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario World, like on Super Nintendo, you go from that to like, oh my God, I'm moving in a world. Like you get that first person games, especially really just a different level of immersion. It really was, right? Everything was flat, everything was 2D, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, I'm in the 3D world. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So they looked like crap, but they did their jobs quite well.
Yep. I still think that Mario 64 looked really good at the time.
Sure.
There was a certain softness to a lot of N64 titles that and the CRTs at the time helped, but they didn't try to go. I feel like they leaned into, or maybe leaned away from what polygons couldn't do, and so I don't know. There's a lot of N64 stuff that I thought still looked kind of crude, but it looked better than a lot of PlayStation 1 titles in a way, because
It's always just about how you use your tools, right?
Yeah.
And Nintendo's, they're notoriously good at knowing how to use their own hardware.
other masters. Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody else is like, what do we do with this weird hardware? Okay. And they sometimes it's good.
Yep. Okay. All right. I guess we should call
Stream
it then, huh?
success.
Another stream done.
I think I probably will stream tomorrow morning from twitch.tv/Rictor. I'll put a link in here.
That's a website, everybody.
I'll host it from this-
www.twitch.
There's a link. I'll probably work on which more in the morning, I think.
You're gonna work on which more?
Which
You're gonna work more on which more?
I'm gonna work more on which more, yeah. More. And then you and I will stream in a week.
Yeah.
And what are we thinking for next time?
I have no idea. I mean, honestly, I didn't.
maybe art. Let's get into art.
Should we
should
do
do some art.
another art stream?
Yeah, we did an art stream. Let's do another art stream. Let's draw either
Can do that.
sprites. We could do art swaps, or we could do physical art.
swaps. What do you mean?
Yeah, like I'll draw a thing and then you draw a thing, or I'll
Oh.
draw. You can show me a piece of your artwork and I'll draw it, or and vice versa.
Whoops. Uh-oh. What is that?
I'd like to do
God.
some witch
Sorry,
designs.
I'm getting tired. I just started clicking in OBS and like change the stream. Yeah, we had an art both set up where it was showing your. Yeah, we'll have to do some. We'll have to sort of Oh wait, what am I streaming that again? God damn it! Stop. Sorry, I'm confusing myself with OBS here. Okay, sorry. Stop. Yeah, we did that last time in terms of like me sharing my Cintiq and you were sharing your iPad and stuff. So yeah, if we want to do that, you and I'll figure that out beforehand so that we don't have to, so that we're not like spending 10 minutes futzing around in Zoom like we were this time.
we'll figure it out.
Yep. Yeah, we can do that. Art sounds
Yeah,
good.
subdomain's a good idea, Vincent. I also got to figure out the www.whichmore not working.
Mhm.
Say that again. I use Namecheap. I'm sure it's gotta be a setting in there. I'll figure that out. Rah, rah, rah,
Yeah.
rah. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, so tune in to Matt tomorrow. You'll see Matt at least twice between now and next time we're on together.
I think also I'm just going to be streaming randomly once in a while because I kind of need to see when people are around. And
Mhm.
I'm also going to be working on my game a lot. And sometimes I'm going to be like, fuck it, let's just stream because
Yeah.
I'll be like, I got the next 2 or 3 hours free and I got a list of stuff to get done and I need to get it done. And so why the hell wouldn't
Yeah.
if
If your ass is sitting right
Makes
there in that
sense.
chair and you're doing work, why not turn the camera on and just make
why
it happen?
not?
I'll be
Oh.
very interested to hear, after you've been doing this for a little bit, how you feel with your productivity. Because when I watched, you were streaming during the workday, I was only able to pop in a couple times and watch a few minutes here and there, but you were doing a good job of kind of like narrating what you were doing, and it seemed like when I was watching it, I was thinking this would be really cool to but I was thinking like I could do this during like bug fixing time, where it's kind of like, okay, I'm going through Jira's and I'm looking for bugs, and there's a collision bug, or there's some flickering on this art asset, and I need to, it's the things where you're kind of like, yeah, all right, just like do some stuff, fix some stuff. Like that's how I could do it. But if I had to like concentrate on stuff, I don't know that I could. I think I would just sit there. Me personally, for a lot of my tasks, I would just sit there quietly. I'd be like, I wouldn't see chat. I wouldn't be talking. I would just be sitting there, kind of like, and it would be super boring because it would just be me staring at my Cintiq or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'll
Tuesday
be interested.
was interesting because I even had some interaction with the chat, helping me with Unity problems. Because like there were definitely like I have friends who hang out in the chat who are just they know more about Unity than me. So that's pretty cool. Is basically what I did was I just had the chat help out instead of like could have Googled it or something. But that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of advantageous that way. I also I've noticed I feel some pressure to push things forward and get stuff done because like from a stream I want to be like, here's what we got done, like here's what we accomplished. I could see value in a stream where you're just gonna hang out and have fun, but like the whole motivation for me was like I'm entering that phase where I just have to get a ton of work done. And so at that point I was like, why wouldn't I just point a camera at me? Because it's just upside. Unless like you were saying, unless it happened, like if my personality happened to be like where I just shut down and I get nothing done or something. But yeah, I try to keep the train moving forward.
That's an interesting thought. That trying to be entertaining is actually your motivation for like trying to bang through a bunch of tasks, because that's more interesting.
I think so. Yeah, it is.
What do I do now?
Yeah, like to be like, look, we added like on the stream Tuesday, we added a Gamish and a blunderbuss. And that's kind of what I'm going for. Is I have some tasks, so many where there's like fix a bug, refactor this thing, blah 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 blah. But I'm trying to gear it more and I'm like running out of tasks of that category because like just too many bugs will pile up and that sucks. So, like I just need to fix these bugs. I can't add a new monster right now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I am trying to make it kind of fun in that way because I do have to just add like 100 new things to the game.
Yeah.
So might as well.
Yeah. So I'll be interested to hear, like, after you've been doing this for several weeks or maybe even longer, like, hey, how was that? Like, did you feel like do you feel like overall it impacted your productivity in terms of like, yeah, technically you could have gotten more done if you had just put on some music and done that, but that the trade-off was worth it because you were increasing sort of visibility and interacting with people? Like, it'll be something that we could talk about in in a month or so. It'll be like, so you've been doing this a while now, how's it going?
I don't think that with the volume of my streams, it's really manageable. Like if you had a stream where the chat was just going crazy, it might be more beneficial just to hang out with your chat and just chat it up or something, right? But I think in my case, a few friends hanging out, like it's more like a low rumble, and it's easier just to like have the stream be your primary focus and try to push that forward. What else was I gonna say? Something about Tuesday. Yeah, I don't know. It went really well. The audio problem I had sucked. I might have to try Windows Machine.
What was the other
Like,
problem?
I think what I'm gonna do tomorrow morning is just not have audio. It'll just be my voice, and maybe I could put a microphone on my speaker. I don't know. It's like it feels like that should be a way.
Oh, was
But I
this you
guess the
weren't getting
main
system
problem-
audio?
What's that?
You weren't getting system audio? Was this the whole like black hole problem? You weren't getting
The problem. Well, I can't use Black Hole at all because it just my Mac just hates it. Just
Yeah.
chokes.
Yeah.
It'll just change my audio driver and stuff. Like, ooh. Now I'm using VB cable, and the problem seems to be that when Unity, I'll switch between Unity and something else, and when Unity kind of like, I guess it wants to recapture the audio
Hmm.
device, that killed the VB cable. Had like as part of the multi-output device. It just stopped playing. It just stopped working.
Interesting.
So
yeah.
Unity and VB cable seem incompatible. So I'm just in that phase where I should probably just try another bit of software and just
Yeah.
you know how it goes.
Keep installing. Keep trying things until you're like, well, okay, that one did it.
Uninstall,
All right,
restart,
don't do anything. Just leave it
Install
be.
something else, just that one thing, try it again. Uninstall, restart.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Don't change too many things at once, because then if something breaks or starts working, you won't know which thing you did actually. Now, which can I uninstall? Because which was the step that actually fixed it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just really time consuming. So I think in the short term, I might just microphone only.
Hmm. Yep.
Unfortunately, I wish Soundflower still worked. That was a beautiful period in time. Felt like Mac was a actual operating system for a hot minute there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think down the road it could be cool if I want to try to get ideas about witchcraft stuff from the chat and then integrate it in real time. And that'd be really fun if it was like a brand new idea that I could implement on the fly. I think that'd be really
Ooh, that is cool.
that'd be fun to watch.
Like, come up with the concepts, quickly write up sort of like a summary and some specs for it, and then draw it and implement it, and like do the
Yep.
whole process of
The whole
taking
thing.
something from like, oh, I had an idea to now it's in the game and performing its
Yeah.
function.
What I'm looking forward to specifically is the kind of thing where if somebody manages to find Witchmore, who's like a big witchcraft fan, and they come in and give me ideas for recipes, or like they've heard about some kind of cool witch spell that requires these weird ingredients. Like that's my big thing with the game is I really want to find like cursed ingredients. You know, like what I
Mhm.
love about witch spells is you'll find like these multiple steps you have to do. Like I love the coin of the widow. It's just a simple thing. It's just a coin. You look at it and you're like, it's just a coin. But I love that element of witchcraft where you're like, that's a special coin. You know, and you're like, what about the coin? There isn't anything on the coin. It looks different. And you're like, well, it's the coin of a widow. That's
Yeah.
just what this magic spell needs. And you got this like a piece of paper where you draw like a little glyph on it, you know, like a little witchcraft glyph. And like you need that particular glyph to get this particular spell going. And I love that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that is cool.
You know, if you need this written on a piece of paper or something, right? Like you need that specific symbol to make this, you know, to summon this creature or to curse that person. I love that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good luck with your stream tomorrow. I'm
Thanks.
sure a lot of the people who have been watching the stream will tune in to that.
Yeah, I hope so. Some of you, you probably still be awake. Ooh, let's see. Have I performed any witchcraft myself? My wife has. Yes, she has. You know what else we should figure out? This is like there's all this next level streaming stuff that, you know, like getting the stuff bouncing up and whoever,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
But something else that's kind of just more courteous is the rating. Right? Like I know Aviv streams sometimes, and some other folks in here stream once in a while. And if we, you know, if we're gonna stop streaming pretty soon here, we could like. I just know that's a thing. Like I
Yeah.
don't know how. I don't even know how to send. Like I know how to host,
Yeah.
but I don't know how rating works. But I love it when people do it to us, and so I was like, that's
Yes.
a thing we could do. Is if we? I didn't think of it yesterday at all.
I totally agree. It's something that I initially had interest in as we were doing the whole like, hey, we should stream. How do you stream? Blah blah blah. I got for some when as soon as we got to a point where OBS was kind of set up the way it is right now, my interest went and like fell off a cliff.
Yeah,
because I was
you
like,
hit that
okay,
bare minimum of acceptable, right?
yeah, I was like, okay, there's our two cameras, there's some other graphics, we got some little borders around there, and I was like, okay, I'm bored now, you know, like but yes, I mean, I would love to get chat represented on the screen. I'd love to get something in there about if somebody throws us a, you know, there's all kinds of extra information we could get up there, and yes, doing things like rating and some other stuff. There's a bunch of like Twitch foo that I just don't know about. And
Yeah,
if,
I
you
like that
know,
with Discord too. I get to the bare minimum of Discord. I'm like, I got a channel that's private, a channel that's public, and this channel is only I can post in it for announcements. And like, yeah, and there's like so much. There's roles and bits or coins. Like I know Twitch, you know, it's a lot. It's like anything else. Like when I use Unity, I'm aware. I don't touch the 3D stuff, right? Like Unity does an ocean of things where I'm like, I don't even want to pretend like I'm in the room with that mountain of features. Like I'm just benefiting from the other stuff and ignoring that towering.
mm-hmm.
Anyway, I will probably keep rambling at you all night.
Yeah, all right, I'm gonna bail then.
Yeah, no, we should.
You gotta let me go.
Yeah, let's pop off. Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Yeah, this was fun. Thank you for everybody
Great
who
time.
tuned in and for asking good questions and contributing to the conversation and stuff.
Oh, easy peasy. You just type raid. Okay, it's like host. Thanks. Yeah, if anybody ever has suggestions, I gotta remember to start asking that. Like, hey, we're gonna stop in a few minutes. Who's a good person to raid? We could should we raid somebody?
Should we do
We
that
should.
right
Let's
now?
try it. There's gotta be like a
Who's doing something interesting right now? I have no idea.
let's go look at Twitch.
Who could use
Who
I don't
needs
know. It's less about like let's send them a bunch of users and more like just saying, hey, good job.
yeah. Where do you let's see. What
I
would
have
be a
no
good
idea.
place? I don't know either. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I could look at the look at the categories.
What's this person doing? Well, whatever. Everybody's probably gonna. I don't know. This is now super fascinating.
Watch us read. Here, I'm just gonna pick one.
Retro MMO. Oh, okay. Should we go to that person then?
Wait, you got a suggestion?
He's making an MMO in TypeScript.
Oh wow, that sounds like a lot of fun actually.
Yeah.
And they're live right now. Yeah, let's do that. Here, I got the thing open. I'll try it.
Wait, can you do it or do I have to do it since I'm the host right now?
Oh yeah, maybe you should do it.
All right.
You're kind of the stream handler here.
Yeah, although that's
I do have access to the chat on Super Hacker Bros. That's how I host myself. I'll do that tomorrow too.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll see if that. I guess so. When I do that, I guess that'll just kill our stream, right? And we'll punt everybody over to them.
Yeah.
And okay.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad you.
So I have to
I
do
do
that
too.
before I stop streaming, though, right?
I think so.
I have to stream that, and then I can stop streaming.
But I think you just go into the chat for this channel and you just type raid username. So
Yes, sir.
retro MMO.
Yeah. /raid space.
Oh,
retro
starter timer.
MMO.
Great. We're learning Twitch
We're learning Twitch. Thank you for
on
your
our
help.
8th stream.
You have to be live when it goes into effect. Okay. And
Okay,
then,
cool.
And then we'll kill the OBS. All right. So I'm just gonna hit enter on that then. And
I gotta remember that tomorrow too. That's a nice thing to do for people.
yeah. Yes, I will. Thank you.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Live
Um,
stream all night.
so how do
3.5 hours. Pretty good.
How do we know when it's? I can't see that
Did
it's
you do
actually.
it? You did the thing.
I did. I typed /raid, but it didn't do anything. Wait,
Did
you
it
see it? Did
switch?
it actually go into the chat?
Super Hacker Bros.
Oh, is it going?
Hey.
It's a little like
Oh, there's a little countdown. Oh,
Look at
fun.
us.
Well, thanks for hanging out,
We're,
everybody.
we're
If
such
it- if
dopes.
it's Probably gonna.
Look at these dummies that don't know what they're doing.
pros. Super pro.
Hey, yeah, we're.
Oh, I see it too.
Where is it?
It's above the chat. It's like a. It.
Oh
little
God, that's a
pop-up?
long ass timer. Wait, no, what? Thank you, Vincent. So supportive.
Yes. Vince is the
Wait,
best.
where's the? How's the? I see that, but where's the actual time? Where's the actual
You
like?
don't get a time. You get a purple.
Where's the
It
purple?
looks like it's got like 10.
Oh God, is it? Just, Jesus, we're halfway there.
Oh, it's okay. It's waiting for us to stop. We should
Oy,
really
oy,
just.
oy.
We're bad at stopping.
We're
All right.
bad at stopping. All
Good
right,
night,
so,
everybody.
wait. So what?
We'll see you soon. Get the hell out of here, John.
All right. Okay. Goodbye. Good night, everybody.
Fail.